Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Umineko. We've arrived at an isolated island beach house, or I guess a mansion. This is totally a safe place. I mean, there's a typhoon coming in, the boat's left and is at least 30 minutes out. I don't even know if we have phones on this mostly deserted island, but I assure you nothing bad's going to happen here. And by that I mean there's only the tags horror and mystery, so something might happen, but I'm sure it's nothing bad. I mean, those tags never imply anyone dies. Never. By the way, Natsuhine-san? How's your headache been? Seemed pretty serious before. I'm gonna turn this volume down a tad more since it's still like really loud. I think it's a little bit loud, so should tune it down a teeny tiny bit. Maybe more. Alright, maybe a little bit more. Just try to get it to a nice amount where we're all pretty happy. Okay. Okay. The mystery is who's battler gonna sexually harass next in a cast where 70% is family. Yeah, it's a lot of incest for one series. Damn. Alright. So how's the headache? I've been better lately. Oh, Shiromiya Natsuhi. That must be the wife of the first son? Thanks for your concern. Right here. Present for you, Natsuhine-san. Oh my god, she looks like she's 50. She looks like she's 50 and she dyes her hair to make it not look white. Alright. Thank you very much. I'm always receiving gifts from you. Is this black tea? Herbal tea with peppermint and lemon balm. It's a blend from a well-known store and it's supposed to be good for headaches. I thought it might help you too. Headaches suck. Rosa was always a conscientious woman. Probably because she's the youngest of 4 and much younger than the other 3. I'm going to tell you, my brother is not conscientious in the slightest, so that's a weird assumption to make. Or at least from my perspective, it's like, oh, they're the youngest, so they're going to be really conscientious, and I'm like, fuck no, it's like the opposite. She managed to grow up without gaining the venomous nature of her siblings. Her kind words got Natsuhi to soften her expression for just a moment. But it wasn't enough to melt her stony gaze, hardened as it was by long years of mental stress. Come to think of it, you're always complaining about those headaches. Pull yourself together. Jessica has her exams this year, right? It'll be a turning point in her life. Will she really be able to rely on you as a mother if you're like that? Besides, Natsuhine-san, you're 3 years younger than me. Get your act together. That's a little bit merciless for someone who's not feeling well. Sorry. I apologize. I've had a tendency for headaches all my life. Even under normal circumstances, Eva sometimes failed to choose her words carefully. But her comments aimed at Natsuhi contained shards of obvious malice, although she hid it with a smile. Of course, that fact doesn't escape Natsuhi, nor me. That's just like actually malicious and not just teasing someone. She frantically contained her urge to grimace and pretended to ignore Eva. Ooh, our battler is gonna have his exams this year too. Rudolph, shouldn't you be a little concerned as well? For the sake of your own son, you'd better get serious to the point of having headaches like Natsuhi here. If I say anything, he rebels. I can't I can't wonder why. Can't imagine. Couldn't be that. Could it be the possible cheating on his wife who's now dead? So what should I say? Should I say the opposite, that it's okay for him to mess around? That's probably the only way I get him to listen to me. Maybe. Hideyoshi, George did really well on his exams, right? You gotta teach me the trick to handling children. Step 1, don't be a dick. It's probably because I got him to understand why he should study. That's a thought now. Study isn't worth anything on its own. Yeah, that's right. The real point of studying is to practice researching stuff on your own whenever you bump into something you don't know. If you can't do that, well, you can't be useful to society. I'm not talking about math or writing. You gotta learn how to learn. That's an alright argument for why studying's important. It's splendid. I wish our Jessica could learn that as well. If she's to be heiress to the Ushiromiya family, then at this rate... Do you really have to force her into becoming the successor? After all, a woman has to find a woman's happiness. Parents shouldn't force such things on their children, don't you think? Hold your horses, Eva. Each family has their own way of raising their kids. You shouldn't be so pushy. Alright, that's fair. I mean, I think both Eva and Hideyoshi have their own points. Sorry. Natsuhine-san. Don't take that the wrong way. Your figure's shipping. You're gonna get it soon. Nice, nice. Awesome, dude. Though the light shining in through the window was quite warm, despite the cloudy weather, there was a dark mood about the room. Within the week. It's probably causing headaches for more than just Natsuhi. As if to sweep away that mood, Kiri brightly made a suggestion to all present. Black tea really has a lovely aroma. Let's drink it right away. In Japan, surely you couldn't find something like Leopold's black tea anywhere but Ginza, right? Oh, I see you know a lot about it, Kirie-san. I guess it was worth going to the trouble of buying it. Kiri and Rosa stood up from their seats and made as if to prepare the black tea, but Natsuhi forestalled them. Thank you. We can try that later. One of our people will be coming to bring tea. Please relax. Leave it for later, you two. Let's enjoy our welcome drinks. Rudolph gave a subtle signal with his eyes for them to sit down again. Kiri and Rosa understood instantly and obediently returned to their seats. The initial greeting of the guests was complete, so it was time for them to be served some tea. It was embarrassing for the host that the tea was late, especially now that the guests were talking about making tea themselves. Natsuhi bit her lower lip, frustrated by the ineptitude of the servants who were late bringing the tea. Seeing her face, Eva immediately started to giggle. Of course, Shannon had no way of knowing what was taking place in the parlor. She came pushing a serving cart piled with teacups. For no apparent reason, Natsuhi gave her a pained look, and Shannon couldn't help but flinch without knowing what she had done wrong. Excuse me. Your tea is ready. Shannon-chan, it's been a while. This is the chick George likes. You get prettier every time I see you. Thanks. Save the chatting for after you've set the table. The tea will be cold. I apologize, ma'am. She apologized like a small frightened animal bumped against the serving cart and made a jarring racket as she dropped several teaspoons. Her clumsiness made Natsuhi's expression turn even darker, which made Shannon quail even more. I feel like this is a pretty toxic work environment. All of the servants are literally terrified of the host and hostess. Or all of the, like, not host and hostess, the owners of the place. Or their immediate siblings. Like their first children. Come on, Natsuhi-san. There's nothing wrong with her exchanging a few words in greeting. The tea must be plenty cold already, considering how long we've been kept waiting. There's no need to worry. It's not cold yet. Shannon, finish setting the table quickly. Sorry, man. Natsuhi's irritation was obvious by now. The ineptitude that delayed the tea, the clumsiness of the servant, everything pointed to the incompetence of Natsuhi's everyday leadership, making her lose face. As the person in charge of the Ushiromiya head family's kitchen, allowing that clumsiness to be exposed, today of all days was surely nothing less than total humiliation. Well, she's impatient and kind of rude, so I guess I'm fine with that. Lay off, Natsuhine-san. Isn't it harsh to bully Shannon-chan when she's trying her best? I'm not bullying anyone. What a nice aroma. May I ask what brand this is? I'm terribly sorry. I'll find out for you later. Kiri was trying to be nice, hoping to cut through the tense mood. However, Shannon embarrassed herself instead, darkening Natsuhi's face and the room's mood. By this point, Eva was audibly giggling. Nani? What's this? Don't you even know what you're pouring us? Come on, you mustn't serve something so suspicious to guests. I'm kind of surprised she doesn't know the brand of tea she's serving. Maybe she didn't pour it? That's my guess? We'll need a silver spoon at the very least before we can drink this. I forget what the silver spoon is for. Is it to check for poison? Or is it a quality check? I don't remember. I'll go get one immediately. Oh good, they're gonna explain because I don't remember. Shannon-chan, do you know what silver spoons are used for? They have to be silver. Yep. They have to be silver. Do you know why? I thought it was poison, but I hope they tell me what it is. Please don't tease me, Eva. I want to know what it is. I'm pretty sure it's for detecting some poisons. No. A teasing smile rose to Ava's face as she stared at Shannon setting the table. By itself, Ava's expression was sweet in an impish sort of way. However, the words being spun from her lips had the keenness of a razor within them. Because I think the point is that Ava's being insulting, and she's implying that Shannon's serving them poisonous tea. But Shannon doesn't get it because she doesn't know what silver spoons are used for, or why silver spoons were important. Alright. Shannon tried with all her might to avoid Ava's continuing gaze. Realizing that Shannon was hard-pressed for an answer, Roser gave her some timely help. They say if silver is touched by poison, it darkens! I got it! My first guess. Yes, you learned something today, Shannon. They were acting as though this tea needed to be tested for poison before it could be drunk. Thank you, narrator. I hadn't noticed. In Natsuhi's eyes, this was an insult both to the tea and herself for serving it. Rudolph laughed flippantly and patted Ava's shoulder. Silver cutlery wouldn't do any good for you, Aniki. Just one lick of your poisonous tongue and even a silver plate would turn pitch black. Ooh, a nice comeback. Well, since I get to hear that poison tongue every day, I must be poison-proof myself by now. Ava, I don't mind when you use it on me, but you'd better hold back when talking to people who haven't built up a resistance. Why, how cruel. All I did was teach Shannon a bit about tea, didn't I? Everyone followed the lead except by Hideyoshi's horse laugh and chuckled, although not easily. Only Natsuhi didn't join in, but for the time being, the conversation inside the parlor could now be mistaken for a lively and friendly chat. As Shannon finally finished setting the tea table and tried to leave, Kiri apologized to her in a low voice for not being able to help. Shannon gave a slight bow and made a hasty retreat. Shannon cast her eyes downwards as she pushed the cart down the corridor. Anyone seeing the pitiful way she looked might easily conclude she'd been bullied in some way. Don't be sad. You didn't do anything wrong, Nei-san. I mean, it seems like there's a bunch of small things going wrong at the mansion today. You were watching. That is my role. Madame and Eva-sama can go to hell. But the worst coward is that guy. Cannon glared hatefully in the opposite direction of the parlor. The preparations for the tea had been delayed by some trifling problems in the kitchen. They were not Shannon's fault. In fact, it had been Goda's mistake. After all, there was no way a show-off like Goda would give up a flashy job like bringing in tea when the guests arrived. I see. He'd ended up wasting time preparing the tea once again, so when he realized he wouldn't be able to score any points for this job, he pushed the task of setting the table on Shannon, who happened to be passing by. You might call it a clever move on his part, but there could be no doubt it was a cowardly one. Oh, interesting. We see from an out-of-family's perspective the fact that Goda is not an expert in everything, or at least the way he portrays himself to be. That's something I wasn't expecting to get, like a perspective outside of the main family as our characters were following almost this early, at least this early, right? For things that are so, like, seemingly irrelevant, but okay. So, Shannon's reputation is soured. Or Miss Natsuhi's opinion of Shannon is soured due to this tea incident. However, it's not actually her fault, it's Goda's fault, and he's hiding that. Okay. I'm not bothered by it at all. Cannon's silence vividly expressed the distance between Shannon's words and how she actually felt. Thank you. Even if you're the only one who understands, I feel a little better. You keep your feelings bottled up, Nei-san. Be less hard on yourself for once. Thanks. Suddenly they both felt someone's presence and whirled around. A middle-aged man stood there. It was Genji, the head servant. What are you doing there? Shannon, hurry back to the kitchen. If you'll excuse me. Shannon humbly obeyed and promptly made to push the cart and leave. However, Cannon appealed to Genji in silence, bearing something in his eyes he couldn't express in words. What is it? Did something happen? Shannon didn't do anything wrong. Even so, that... Stop it, Cannon. Please excuse me. I'll return to work immediately. Cannon, please return to your post too. Please? You say so, Nae-san. If that is all, then go. If you'll excuse me. From the shadows in the hallway, an old woman wearing an apron watched over them. It was Kumasawa. Ooh, Shannon-san. Cannon. There's no reason for those two to be picked on. Still, Goda's dislike for them is an undeniable fact. Until Goda was taken in by the Yoshiromiya family, I hear he worked for a fabulous hotel somewhere. Huh. Is that a motive for action? For Goda? For our first arc, at least? The manner of work he learned there was quite impressive, I believe. Okay. It's just, Goda is the newest servant here. He must have a lot of pride accumulated from his previous positions. Because Shannon and Cannon are his seniors here at the mansion, and yet are inexperienced and have gone through much less in life than he has, he picks on them at every chance he gets. And sad as it may be, they're disliked by Madame Natsuhi as well. Yeah, I noticed that. Of course, if we're talking experience, the Madam has been in this family much longer. And this is one point where I cannot help but sympathize with her as well. Truly, the master is a man with many sins on his conscience. Why didn't he realize such a trifling whim of his would give the Madam such an inferiority complex? Why, are they like his bastard children or something? Of course, on the inside, the Madam's fully aware those two don't deserve to be treated so harshly. The heart has reasons that reason knows not. I see. Feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for them too. Damn, that sucks. I can do naught but watch from the shadows. Huh. Oh? Time's passing. It's midnight or noon. They seem to have arrived in the morning, so I'm guessing noon? So this will be lunch. What just popped up there? Oh well. The four of us were enjoying our stories, just shooting the breeze. Anyway, there were both girls and guys here, plus we had people over a wide spread of ages, adult, high school, and elementary school. Even if we just talked about our own lives, the other three kept listening attentively. Well, I think I'm finally getting used to all this. Jessica and Maria have grown more than I could have imagined in the last 6 years.
少しだけ違和感を持ってたんだが、こうして話をしているうちに、中身はあの頃から何も変わってないことが分かったぜ。
To be honest, I was feeling a bit uncomfortable, but talking like this, I guess that on the inside, well, nothing's really changed since back then.
同じ言葉を返してやるよ。
I agree.
バトラだって6年ぶりだってのに全然変わってねえぜ。
You haven't changed a bit, even after 6 years.
図体がいくらでかくなっても中身は相変わらずお子様だってことだな。
Your body's gigantic and you're still a kid on the inside. Alright.
マリアもお子様。
I'm a kid too.
マリアもお子様。
Okay, Maria's a kid too.
マリアだっていつまでもお子様じゃねえぞ。
You aren't gonna be a kid forever, are you, Maria?
お子様から可愛いお姫様に成長していくんだからな。
You're gonna transform into a kid, from a kid into a cute young lady, aren't you?
そうしたらまな板みてえな胸もすぐジェシカ並みになるぞ。
And when that happens, that flat as a board chest will reach Jessica's level, huh?
そしたら揉ませてくれよ。約束だぞ。
This man, this is your 9-year-old niece, and he's already grooming her. My God. He's grooming his 9-year-old cousin. Jesus Christ, Battler. The only thing he's gonna get into a battle with is the fucking law. Jesus. Right to jail, sir. When that happens, you gotta let me touch him, okay? It's a promise. Let you touch him. Promise.
ダメだよマリアちゃん。
Oh, no, Maria.
そんな約束しちゃダメダメダメ。
Don't make that kind of promise, it's bad.
約束したから揉ませる。
I promise I'll let him touch
マ
him.
リア、約束は守る。
I'll keep my promises.
絶対守る。
Always keep them.
マリア、お前本当に素直
Maria,
ないい子だ
you
な。
really are an earnest good girl.
お前と結婚する未来の旦那さんはきっと幸せ者だぜ。
The guy you marry is gonna be really lucky. I mean, it seems like Battler's positioning for that role already.
っていい話にすり替えつつ約束を保持してんじゃねえぞ。
I'm trying to change the subject of making it sound
マリ
pretty.
ア、その約束はなし。
Maria, that promise never happened.
なし。
Never.
約束取り消し。
The promise is canceled?
おー
Oh.
やっぱりバトラ君も揃って4人で集まらないといとこが集合した気がしなかったね。
As I thought, without sexual harassment Kun in our little quartet, this group of cousins didn't feel complete. We fucked up.
この6年はやっぱり寂しかったよ。
These last 6 years have been kind of lonely. Oh, you looking forward to Battler giving you a reach around?
そうだな。
That's true.
こういうふざけた話にはならなかったな。
We didn't really give off like this.
でも建設的な話はできてたと思ったぜ。
Still, we did have some pretty constructive conversations, right?
将来に対する心構えとか、受験とか就職とかよ。
Stuff about preparing for our future, exam taking, finding jobs.
へっへー、悪うございましたね。
I'm so sorry.
俺が来たらおまぬけなドタバタばっかりでよ。
Now I'm here. We're just talking about stupid stuff and mess around.
でもマリアは今年のが楽しい。
But I'm having more fun this year. Maria's happy.
そうだね。
That's
僕も
true.
同感。今年が一番楽しい
This
よ。
year is the most fun yet. Maria's sincere words probably spoke for everyone present. George Anarchy stroked Maria's head and she giggled like a happy kitten.
失礼いたします。
Pardon
お
me?
食事のご用意ができました。
Your meal is ready. A timid knocking sound in the equally timid voice of a young woman came through the door. Jessica answered brightly.
シャノン、入れよ。
Shannon,
バト
come
ラ
on
は
in.
覚えてるだろ？
You remember Battler, right? Battler. Jessica stood up from the bed and opened the door. There stood a servant girl who must have been about our age.
ご無沙汰いたしております。
It's been quite some time since we last met, Battler-sama.
6年ぶりでございます。シャノンです。
Nice to see you after 6 years. It's me, Shannon. Trembling a little as she noticed me, she bowed deeply. How long has this chick been serving as a maid? If she's about their age, so she's 18. She's been serving as an attendant on a private island for at least 6 years? Jesus, alright.
ジェシカにも驚かされたが、シャノンちゃんにも驚かされたぜ。
Jessica had me surprised, but look at you,
あん
Shannon.
たもすっかり美人になったじゃねえのよ。
You're turning into a total beauty too, haven't you?
もったいないお言葉。
Too kind.
強烈にぞ。
しかしよ、この島じゃよっぽど食事の栄養価が高いんじゃねえのか？
The food on this island must be really nutritious.
何
Huh?
を食ってどこを鍛えたらそんなにでっかいお胸になるんだか。
What are you eating and how are you training to get boobs that big?
ジェシカとどっちがでけえか、ちょいと触って確かめさせてもらうぜ。
I guess I'll have to feel them a bit and see whether yours or Jessica's are bigger, okay? With both hands poised and saliva dribbling from my mouth, I closed in. For the sake of justice and my personal honor, I'd like to point out that I don't suffer from some strange disease that makes my lymph nodes itch until I scratch my neck open, which can only be prevented by fondling breasts. A strange disease that makes him scratch his neck open, killing him. Interesting. This is just a battler-style method of communication. Uh-huh. If I slowly close in on her like this, the odds are 8 or 9 out of 10 that I get slapped or clobbered, right? If I use this original technique to spark a gag like that and break the ice, well, it also means I really do get to touch them in that 1 in 10 chance though, right? Right? Yeah, like that had ever happened. At that point, my hands were less than a centimeter away from her boobs, but the counter-strike had yet to come. She blushed and lowered her head in embarrassment when she realized what was going on. But she just stood there with both hands politely joined in front of her, not even trying to resist or cover her breasts. Wait, I wasn't planning on this. Please hit me, I'm seriously gonna... Which is why I was glad Jessica chose that time to drive her elbow into the back of my head.
ジェシカ、ありがとうよ。
Ow, ow, ow. Thank you so much, Jessica.
なんで私が感謝されるんだ？
Why are you thanking me?
いやいや、すまんぜ、シャノンちゃん。
Seriously, my bad, Shannon.
魅力的な胸に思わず吸着されそうになっちまった。
My bad, Shannon. I almost got overwhelmed by your hypnotic chest.
さすがにあの間合いまで来たら犯罪確定だろ。
More importantly, anyone who gets that close has got to be a molester. Gotta fight back when people do that. But
ですけど、バトラ様は大切なお客様ですし。
an important guest, Battler sama?
あのな、お客様でも犯罪は犯罪。
Look here, a pervert's a pervert whether he's a guest or not.
女の子の胸はだいたい10センチくらいからが防空識別圏だな。
A girl's chest's got an air defense identification range of about 10 centimeters or so.
まで侵入してきたら、これはもう領空侵犯だぜ。スクランブル発進で即ビンタを食らわせてやれ。
Once someone trespasses within 2 centimeters, that's already an invasion of airspace. You better scramble the jets immediately and give them an instant slap.
そんなことできません。
I couldn't do that.
私たちはその
We're
カ
furniture.
ムですし。
Of course, she didn't want her breasts touched, but if a guest so desired, she's prepared to sacrifice herself to suit their wants. A girl like this needs some urgent protection.
今時こんな献身美徳な子がいるとは。
I think such devoted girls still existed in this era. Isn't that what Canon said? That they were furniture?
軽いめまいすら覚えるぜ。
It's enough to make a man dizzy.
でもダメだ。
No,
ダメなんだ。
No.
俺がいやらしい顔で迫る。
I'm coming at you with a perverted face again. Knock me down.
エッチ。
Look out, pervert
そ
on
う
the
いうお約束じゃないとオチがつかねえんだよ。頼むよ、お願いだよ。俺を引っ叩いてくれよ。
This gag can't end until you deliver the punchline, so slap me.
こうバチンと。
Please. You thought he was into maids. I'm pretty sure I know what he's into.
バチンと。
Please hit me. Please.
お願いは聞けません。
I cannot fulfill your
家
request.
具ですから。
I'm furniture.
でも
But
命令ならお聞きします。
if it were an order, I'd obey you.
それが務めですから。
As that's my duty.
じゃあ命令させてもらうことにするよ。
Well then, I'll make it in order.
次からバトラ君が胸に触ろうとしてきたら平手打ちで反撃すること。
The next time Battler-kun tries to touch your breasts, counterattack with a slap.
いいね。
Got it?
はい
Yes,
仰せつかりました。
as you wish.
以後そのようにさせていただきま
From
す。
now on, that's what I'll do.
バトラ様ご承知おきくださいませ。
Please understand, Battler-sama. Shannon announced this while bowing elegantly to me. Yeah, maybe he's into a certain kind of maid. Like Salter, maybe. Her expression was radiant. I gave her a thumbs up to show her I was fine with it.
6年前はお手伝いさんの連れ子がついでにお手伝いみたいな印象だったんだけど。
6 years ago, you might have been mistaken for a servant's daughter who lent a hand at your parents' work.
すっかり一人
But
前
now
の
you're a
使用人さん
full-fledged
だな。
adult servant.
今年で何年になるんだ？
How long have you been working here?
はい
Well,
おかげさまで10年ほどお使いさせてい
I've
ただい
had
て
the
おり
pleasure
ま
of
す。
serving this household for about 10 years. She is... Well, that's a mouthful. The kanji for her name is read as Shannon. Yeah, I can see that. I don't know the first one, but I think the second one's non. Now here's another name that's far from typical for a Japanese person. Back in the day I was a kid myself, so I accepted her name without paying it much attention. Thinking about it now, though, her name's pretty unusual, even though she's not a member of the Ishiromiya family. Maybe it's like a servant's professional name or something. If so, that might explain why her name's so similar to Kanon-kun, the kid I met earlier in the Rose Garden. They're both non-kuns, right? They're both nons? She's a long-term servant who's served here since she was 6 years old. Oh, she's 16 then? Her appearance had changed so much I couldn't match her to the person of my memories, but we both knew each other 6 years ago. That shy part of her had always been there, but she did seem to have developed the allure you'd expect of a girl her age. Especially in her breasts, yes. I don't even have any comments to make. This guy's the guy who's actually gonna be sexually assaulting people left, right, and center, and commenting on stuff like that. I can't even make lewd comments. This guy beats me to the punch, or at least is 2 seconds after me. That kid we met earlier, Kanon-kun, is our little brother.
弟というわけでは。
He's not exactly my little brother,
でも私のことを姉と慕ってくれます。
but he loves me like a big sister.
何か失礼なことはしませんでしたか？
Ah, it's not incest because they're not related, right? He didn't cause you any trouble, did he? They're cousins. It's not in. They're cousins, not brothers. Therefore, it's not incest.
相変わらずいつも通りだぜ。
He's the same as always.
もうちょっと愛想よくすればいいのによ。
If only he
も
were a
った
bit
い
more
ないやつ。
social.
カノン君がご迷惑をおかけしたようで申し訳ございません。
I apologize if you caused you trouble.
別に迷惑なんか何も。
Nah, no trouble at all.
同じ男としてわかるさ。ありゃ気難しい年頃だ。
As a fellow man, I understand how moody you can get at that age.
愛想が悪いのは当たり前だぜ。
It's no surprise he's unsociable.
マリアもよく言われる。
I get called that all the time too.
愛想悪いって言われる。
I get called unsociable,
カノンと一緒。
just like Canon.
マリア
You
様
aren't
は愛想悪くなんかありません。
You aren't unsociable at all, Maria.
おお、一緒がよかった。
I want to be like you.
うん。
食事の準備ができたんだっけ？
You said the meal was ready, right?
はい、失礼いたしました。
Sorry.
お食事のご用意が整いましたので、皆様をお屋敷へご案内いたします。
Your meal has been fully prepared, so please allow me to guide you all to the mansion. Shannon bowed again formally and returned to her duty mode. We realized if we made her stick around for any more light conversation, it would actually make it harder for her to do her job. We got up off our butts to avoid interfering with her work any further.
じゃあお屋敷に行こうか。
Shall we go to the mansion?
みんなもお腹が空いてたところでしょ。
Everyone's probably hungry, right?
だな。ゴーダさんがいる時の飯は楽しみなんだよ。
I'm looking forward to Goda-san's
あの
food.
人、どこぞの有名ホテルでシェフをやってたらしくて、 かなり料理の腕があるんだぜ。
That guy's like apparently a chef at a famous hotel, so he's super good at cooking.
ほうほう、
Oh.
それ楽しみ。
I can't wait.
行こうぜマリア。
Let's go,
ガツガ
Maria.
ツ犬みたいに食い散らかすぞ。
We're gonna stuff ourselves like pigs.
犬みたいに食い散らかす。
Yes, let's stuff ourselves like pigs.
ダメダメ。バトラ君の言うことはいちいち真に受けちゃダメだよ。
Don't take everything Battler says seriously.
全部冗談なんだから。
He's always joking around.
さあ、行こう行こ
Alright, let's go. Under Shannon's guidance, we headed towards the mansion. It seems like Battler's the only one with, like, the tongue of his, like, aunts and uncles / parents. Met once again by the magnificent Rose Garden, we continued onward as the intimidating mansion of the Ishiromiya head family came into view. It apparently had been built shortly after the war, so you could feel the dignity of almost half a century hanging about it. The building was gorgeous on the surface, but as old as it was, equipment such as its AC and heating were apparently quite frail. According to Jessica, the midwinter was especially tough, what with all the drafts. Haven't these people ever heard of a kotatsu? Oh, we haven't seen the main foyer yet. Alright, looks like there's a nice staircase with a little bit of carpet on it. As we entered the entrance hall, an aged servant greeted us. Now him, I remembered. Genji-san, who had been working here longer than anyone, filled the role of head servant.
Battler-sama, お久しゅうございます。
Battler-sama, it's been some time since we last met. As our eyes meet, he greeted me with a calm, composed voice. His bow wasn't as graceful or refined as Goda's. But despite its simplicity, it communicated his feelings very well.
ゲンジさん、本当にお久しぶりっす。
Kenji, it really has been a
お
while.
元気そうですね。
You look well.
おかげさまで
Thank you, I've been quite
健や
well.
かに過ごさせていただいております。バトラ様こそご立派になられました。
Battler-sama, you've become a splendid young
親
man.
方様の若き日に少し似てこられましたな。
You're beginning to resemble the master in his youth.
俺がじい様に
I look like
ってこ
grandfather?
とは、さぞやじい様は若い頃モテたろうな。
Yes, he was pretty popular with the ladies when he was young.
ここからはシャノンに代わって私がご案内申し上げます。
From here on, I shall take Shannon's place and accompany you.
どうぞこちらへ。
Please, this way. Shannon bowed deeply and watched us leave. After that, we headed towards the dining room under Genji-san's guidance. Genji, just like Kumasawa-san, stood in stark contrast to us young people who had grown beyond recognition over the last 6 years. His appearance was the same in my memories from 6 years ago. It was as though time stopped since the last time we met. He was extremely quiet and diligent. He was basically grandfather's close aide or caregiver, and you might even call him grandfather's companion of many years. In fact, he was by grandfather's side even more often than my late grandmother was. According to Jessica, grandfather trusted him more than any of his blood relatives. I wonder how long he's served. I never got the details, but I heard something about him being here since the very beginning when this mansion was first constructed, which would mean he's dedicated half his life to serving here. Easy to see why he's so trusted. As we passed through a massive hall that extended up into the second story of the mansion with no separating floor, I spotted something that hadn't existed in my memory of 6 years ago. A painting of Beatrice? Beatrice. It was an awfully big portrait hanging right in front of the stairs that rose to the second floor. Without thinking, I stopped walking, captivated by it. And since I'd stopped so fast, Maria, who was following behind me, ran into my back.
ああ、悪い。
Sorry.
なあ、ジェシカ。あん
Jessica.
な絵、 前はあったっけ?
Has this picture always been there? I pointed at the big, prominently displayed portrait in the hall. Everyone else stopped too.
ああ、そっか。
Oh, right.
バトラが来てた頃にはあれはかけられてなかったっけ?
When you last came here, that hadn't been hung yet,
い
right?
つからだったかな?
When was it again?
確か
Well,
僕の記憶が正しければ一昨年あたりだったと思うよ。
if my memory doesn't fail me, it was put on display sometime around the year before last.
さようでございます。
You were correct,
一
sir.
昨年の4月に
In April of the year
親
before
方様が
last,
かねてより画家に命じて描かせていたものを
the master put it on display there, having previously ordered a painter to create it.
あのじいさまがね、
Grandfather did that?
わざわざ描かせてか。
He paid to have it painted just for him, huh? The portrait suited his western mansion, and the woman in the elegant dress gave off a sense of refinement. I couldn't have guessed her age, but her sharp eyes and the strong will she seemed to possess made her look youthful. She seemed somehow different from the composed middle-aged women you often see in pictures. If she'd had normal black hair, I might have assumed it was a portrait of my long-deceased grandmother in her prime. However, she had beautiful blonde hair that didn't look Japanese at all.
んで、
So,
誰だい?
There's this chick. Maria answered the question enthusiastically, as though proud she knew the answer. Oh, Maria knows. She's Beatrice.
なんだって?
Yeah, what?
ベアトリーチェ
Beatrice.
魔女だよ。
She's a witch.
バトラ君は昔聞かされたことない？
Don't you remember the stories about her from long ago?
魔女?
A witch?
って、
You mean
この島の?
the witch of this island? I think I already said this, but Rokkenjima is only a small island, 10 kilometers in circumference. How'd they measure the circumference of an island? I have real questions, as there's a shore paradox where the distance / circumference around an island is infinite. It isn't finite. Shoreline paradox is real. You can't say it's 10 kilometer circumference. I mean, a literal... an island of sand, like a literal pile of sand in the ocean that you could walk across in 2 steps, could be infinitely deep. Or infinitely wide across, thanks to fractals. Infinitely expanding fractals. It's pretty massive considering that only the Ushiromiya family lives here. Only the harbor and the area around the mansion were set up to be lived in. Beyond that, the island is untouched as when it was uninhabited. The vast and empty forest had no lights, no phones, or people passing through. To understand how dangerous that is, you need to forget your common sense as a city dweller. After all, if you happen to fall down in a hole in the depths of the forest and sprain your ankle, no one would come save you, no matter how much you cry or scream. Then, once the sun goes down, the forest will be wrapped in complete darkness since there were no streetlights. And since there were no signs, it'd be easy to get lost and confused, losing your sense of direction inside that dark forest. Nowadays, most people see a forest as a peaceful place, but to the people of bygone eras, before the light of civilization drove out the night, forests were as geographically separated from civilization as the sea. They were oceans above the ground. Fishermen who go out into the ocean are putting their lives at risk despite their technical knowledge. In the same way, hunters who go into the forest are in danger despite having specialized knowledge of their own. If children were to go play in such a dangerous forest, something terrible might happen. Yeah, but the thing is, you're on an island, so if there are no bears on this island, you're safe from bears. Unlike the ocean, which is absurdly large and deep, and the water itself can kill you. Even if you have navigation equipment, simply being in the water itself is a danger. I think you're a lot safer in the forest. Especially a forest on an island where you can it's probably been confirmed if or if not there are bears. But yes, children could hurt themselves. Someone's parents must have thought so. Maybe grandmother first said it, or maybe it was grandfather himself. Perhaps the story has been passed down on this island since ancient time. There's a terrible witch in the forest, so you must not go in. At some point, this ghost story of Rokkenjima was born. is the legend of Rokkenjima's witch. That's why when we talk about a witch on the island, we're referring to the master of that vast and savage forest. Come to think of it, when I stayed at the mansion as a little kid, during those eerie nights when the wind and rain pounded on the windows, I remember being terrified by a story of the forest witch who roamed around searching for human sacrifices. And so, Beatrice. When Aniki mentioned it, I searched my memory and was sure I recalled hearing a name like that when I was little.
なるしかしあの魔女伝説の魔女にベアトリーチェなんておしゃれな名前がついてたとはとんと忘れてたぜ。
I forgot the witch in the legend had an elegant name like Beatrice.
じいさま孫たちが信じないもんだからわざわざ絵に描きやがったか。
So did grandfather go out of his way to have a portrait made because we didn't believe the story?
じいさまの妄想の中の魔女だよ。
She's the witch from grandfather's
こ
delusions.
の絵を掲げた頃から現実と幻想の区別がつかなくなり始めた。
Ever since this picture was hung, he's been having a harder and harder time telling you the difference between truth and fantasy.
私たちにとっては想像の中の魔女に過ぎないけど、じいさまにとっては彼女はこの島にいる存在。
To us, she's just a witch who exists in his mind, but to him, she's a being that exists on this island.
だから、それを理解することができない私たちにもわかるよう、あの
He
絵を
says
描かせたってい
he
う
had
んだ
that painting made because the rest of us would be incapable of understanding otherwise.
気持ち悪いったらありゃしないぜ。
The whole thing's creepy as hell.
お嬢様
Note that she's wearing a dress with the same crest that everyone else in the family is wearing.
親方様にとっては大切な肖像画です
The lady. The portrait's precious to the master.
親方様の前でそのようにおっしゃられることがご
Do
ざいま
not
せ
say
ん
such things in front of him.
固くお願い
わかってるぜ。
I,
頼まれても言わねえよ。
even if you didn't tell me, I'd never do something like that. Jessica glanced at the portrait with an irritated gaze before turning away.
行こうよ。
Let's go.
食堂にみんなを待たせてるよ。
We're making everyone wait in the dining room.
お腹すいた。
Hungry. Only a small portion of this island was controlled by the Ushiromiya family. All the lawless remainder was the domain of the witch Beatrice. You might even call her the true ruler of Rokkenjima. I felt a faint revival of that unsettling sense of misfortune, which I'd felt when I learned of the tutelary god's shrine being struck by the lightning. And I remembered that Kumasawa-san tried to tell an ominous story about Rokkenjima before Jessica stopped her. I don't know what she was planning to tell us about the island, but I know one thing. It isn't the Ushiromiya family that rules Rokkenjima. It's the witch Beatrice. That's right. After all, this is the island's witch. Paddler, you're slow. To be fair, if he moves too quickly, he gets sick and slows everyone down, so that's maybe not a bad idea. Let's just leave him behind, Maria. When I looked around, everyone was already heading towards the dining room, and I hurriedly chased after them. Alright, so our family should be in the dining room. We walked up to the huge double doors that led to the dining room. Genji knocked.
お子様方をお連れいたしました
I have brought the
失
children.
礼いたします
Pardon the intrusion. The doors were opened and we were invited inside. Oh, it looked more like a cult gathering? Are we all being ritually sacrificed? What's happening? Why so ominous? It's a regular-ass dining room. The dining room which looked exactly like you'd imagine a rich person's dining room to be. It had a super long table that was obviously positioned with no purpose other than to make the guests conscious of their rank. Our parents were sitting in accordance with that ordering.
遅えぞガキども。
You're late,
早
brats.
く席につけよ。
Hurry up and take a seat. The old bastard pressed us to sit. The only gaps in that group of people were the spots we were supposed to sit, which only made us feel our tardiness all the more. The seat at the head of the table, called the incipient's chair, was for the most highly ranked reserved for grandfather. It was empty. He probably wanted to show up last for dramatic effect. From the perspective of someone facing the incipient's chair, head on, the seating order went from left to right, with the lower ranking seats progressing in rows of 2 further away from it. So the left-hand side of the first row, closest to incipients, was where Uncle Kraus should have sat, since he was second highest in rank. Looked like he hadn't arrived yet either, so the seat was empty. Across from his chair, on the right side of the first row, sat the eldest daughter of the family, Aunt Ava, who was third highest in rank. Left-hand side of the second row was fourth highest in rank. There sat my damn dad Rudolph, the third of his siblings. Across from him on the right side of the second row sat Aunt Rosa, the youngest sibling. Oh boy, we got precise seating orders for everyone based on their importance in this family. You can tell that these family gatherings are fun, right? Just imagine you go to a family gathering and it's like a serious Japanese business meeting every time you interact with people. Where it's like, I'm sorry, you didn't sit in the 17th most important person spot. You sat in the 15th. How dare you? How dare you? Leave and never return. You can have dinner when you sacrifice a cow and 3 chickens to the gods, and beg the person for your forgiveness, for your insults, and beg for forgiveness. Yeah, sure. Beg that person forgive your rudeness. Yeah, wonderful place to be. At this point, you might expect their husbands and wives to come next. But nope, left-hand seat, third row, rank number 6 belongs to Jessica. Opposite her is George Anarchy. I sat next to Jessica. Maria sat across from me. Finally, next to me on the left-hand side of the 5th row sat Aunt Natsuhi, the 10th highest in rank. Opposite her was Uncle Hideyoshi. Looks like they're ranked based on their spouse's position. Okay. Uncle Hideyoshi. Next to Aunt Natsuhi, in the 6th row and final seat on the left-hand side sat Kiri-san. The seat opposite Kiri was empty, even though the silverware had been set there and everything. According to this ranking system, that spot was where Aunt Rosa's husband should be sitting. Even though he wasn't supposed to be coming, his place was made up. Normally, ranking systems of this sort give spouses equal positions as their partners, but the Ashiromiya family's system was unique. Maybe it's a remnant of male chauvinism. If you start with the assumption that a woman's womb is just something to be borrowed, then the children of direct descent would come first, followed directly by grandchildren. In other words, spouses have no blood ties and are therefore placed at the end of the line. It's terrible, but by this system my grandmother would be ranked even lower than me if she were alive. In their youth, they obey their father, after they get married, their husband, and after aging, their children. There's the old saying, women have no home in any realm. Long ago, when I was still incapable of figuring this out, I thought it was great we could all chat in our little groups, adult siblings with adult siblings, cousins with cousins. However, now I can re-examine the seating order after growing up a bit. It stirs up some complicated feelings for me. Aunt Natsuhi, who is married to the eldest son, and was the de facto number 2 in managing this family, sat to my right, which meant she was 2 steps lower than me in ranking order. It's hard to imagine what might be going on inside her heart. That's why I made a small apologetic gesture toward her before sitting down. Nice to see you, Battler. I wonder if they have to sit this way when there's not an annual family gathering. Like, is Ushiromiya Natsuhi just like stuck at the bottom of the table by herself when they're eating a normal family meal? It's like you have like this massive table, and like you can see the table in the background, right? So imagine you're sitting at one corner, because you're Natsuhi, bottom right. You're like bottom left. Your husband's at the opposite end of the table from you, like 5 seats. Or wait, what? This like 5 or 6 seats to your left, with only Jessica in between you. And then your father is sitting at the head, and you're like, can I sit on the right side of the table? And he's like, fuck you. You ain't doing shit. Yep. Hard work of eating well, sampling various cuisines, and deriving sustenance from Mother Earth's bountiful gifts. Hard work, but I pulled through. Growing like a boy, I see. How tall are you now?
180かな。
Around 180
つ
centimeters?
うかおばさん、そこは食べてばっかりじゃねえかって突っ込んでくださいよ。
That's where you're supposed to say something like, heck, it sounds like all you did was eat.
あ
Sorry.
あ、ごめんなさいね。
After a short pause, she did laugh with me, but it seemed she couldn't quite figure out what she was supposed to be laughing at. This woman is Aunt Natsuhi. Wait, the first kanji is just the summer. This isn't a weird phrasing, or a weird name. Oh, right. She married in. She married in, right. I'm like, this looks like a normal Japanese name. I'm confused. I was confused for a second. I was expecting really weird names. She's the wife of the eldest son of the family, meaning she's my father's older brother's wife. It's simpler if I call her Jessica's mother. It feels bad to say it like this, but, well, I didn't exactly dislike her. I didn't particularly like her either. She hardly ever spoke with us, and all my memories of her involve her talking to the adults about complicated things with a scary look on her face. In fact, since we hardly ever exchanged words, I spent a long time trying to figure out how I should approach her. Though my efforts seem to have ended in failure. The silverware sat neatly on the table, but the meal itself hadn't been brought in yet. As a general rule, you couldn't start a meal until the person sitting at the head of the table arrived. As long as grandfather didn't come, lunch would be put on hold indefinitely. Not even the appetizers would arrive. Simply put, the silence in the room was caused by our parents enduring their hunger while they waited for grandfather to arrive. However, the grandfather from my memories would always show up on time to meals like this. He's the kind of person who wouldn't be so late that it kept everyone waiting, especially after the entire group arrived.
遅えな、じいさま。
Grandfather's pretty late.
俺の記憶じゃ時間に厳格な人だったと思うんだけどな。
As far as I remember, he was strict about time.
まあ、6年前はそうだったかもな。
Ooh, that might have been true 6 years ago,
最
but
近はそうでもねえよ。
it hasn't been that way
という
lately.
か、もう自分の世界オンリーって感じで、会食にも顔を出さねえぜ。
In fact, he's off in his own little world so often he doesn't even show up at family
さ
meals.
すがに今日くらいは足並みを揃えてくれるって思ってたんだけどな。
I figured he'd at least come down today, though.
まあ、私は来ない方が気楽で嬉しいけどよ。
Well, then again, I feel a lot more relaxed and happy without him.
ジェシカ。
Jessica. When her mother scolded her, Jessica stuck her tongue out and looked away. No way around it. Might as well wait until our host arrives. When I glanced at the clock, I saw it was almost 12:20. So, it was 12 o'clock when we got called in for dinner, and it's been 20 minutes. Damn, alright. Old man be late as fuck to his own dinner party. Ushiromiya Kinzo, the aged family head of the Ushiromiya head family. He has another portrait of Jessica in his room? This man could be seen in his study. The clock had passed noon, but he didn't even attempt to rise from his seat. With his spectacles on, he built up a growing pile of books with elaborate bindings, which he then read intently. You couldn't really say he was having too much fun to stop. Rather, he filled the room with a sense of impatience, or perhaps a sense of impending danger, as though every second wasted was a tragedy. In this sealed room, a dense dust danced through the air, which was thick with the stench of chemicals that exuded a mix of suspicious odors. The odors were somehow sweet and heavy. If anyone with a normal nose came in here, the first thing they'd do is open a window and ventilate this room. The knocking against the study door had been going on a while. A voice calling father sometimes mingled with the knocks. As Kinzo heaved a deep sigh, he snapped shut the old book in his hands and slammed it on the table. This guy. Then he yelled at Kraus, who was still knocking on the door. Silence! Oh boy. Enough at the racket, you fool. Who told you the door would be open if you butt knocked? I'll crucify the imbecile. Oh my god. You wish to suffer the same fate. Did you just say kill him? Yeah. Father. This is the day of the family conference, which happens once a year, is it not? Everyone's gathered below. Please come out. Kraus called to his father through the door. Ginzo always shut himself up in the study, hating it when nearly anyone, even his family, entered the room. For that reason, Kraus had no choice but to call him from the corridor like this. Molest me not! Who is this everyone of which you speak? Do you mean the fools trying to drag me out of here? Kill them all! Tear them apart, use their bodies for firewood, and feed them into the wish's hearth. Alright, rate this grandfather rate interaction with this grandfather out of 10. Is this a grandfather you'd like to have? It's like he's holding up your dinner and you're just like, he's like, fuck all of you people, I'm in the study doing whatever the fuck I want. It's like, can we at least just eat dinner without you? Fuck you, fuck you, I hope you all fucking die. And you're like, thanks, asshole. Put in a pot in that hearth to boil the wormwood. Force the imbeciles who dare try to lure me out of here to drink the broth of the apocalypse. I will soak their dregs in liquor. Where's Genji? Call for Genji. Have my demonic absinthe prepared. 0.1 out of 10, and it's on a logarithmic scale. That's so bad. Logarithmic scales. That's what each single point on a logarithmic scale is 10 times. So 6 to 7. 6 is literally 7 is 10 times more than 6. A 6 is a tenth of 7. So yeah, 1 to 100 is just add 10 zeros to know how much better that is. Well, 9 zeros, I guess. The whispering of the green fairy reaches me no longer. Where's Genji? Bring him here! On the other side of the door, Kraus, Nanjo, and Genji kept waiting for the master of the house, who stubbornly refused to come out. Looks like he hates me to the core. My voice doesn't reach him anymore. Kraus shrugged as though saying it's of no use and smiled bitterly. From the beginning, he hadn't really expected his father to respond to his calls. However, since it was the duty of the eldest son, he'd tried as a formality. Kinzo-san. Kinzo, your sons, daughters, and grandchildren have come to see you, have they not? Did you let them see your face, if only for a short while? Shut up and be silent, oh my goodness. You dare admonish me, Nanjo? I never told anyone to get you, I told them to get Genji. Call for him immediately. Time is short and the apostles are readying their trumpets. Can you foolish sheep understand? The apostles readying their trumpets? That's Revelations, right? Kinzo slammed an old heavy book against the table over and over. That racket clearly expressed his great displeasure. Kinzo put his spectacles down and flew up from his chair. Why is this man not in an old folks' home? We'll never know. It's probably because he's rich. He spread his arms wide open as if to sing to a packed opera house, as if appealing to someone, and yelled, What? Why is there always something in my way?
全てを捨てよう全てを捧げようその見返りに私は一つしか求めないという
I would throw it all away. I would offer everything, and there's only one thing I ask in repayment.
ああベアトリーチェお前の微笑みをもう一度見られるならば私は世界中から美少を奪い取り全てをお前に捧げよう
Damn, that's very flowery. Oh, Beatrice, if I could see her smile but one more time, I would plunder the smiles of the earth and offer them all up to you. Damn, he's going hard. Commanders of the legions of locusts reap the smiles of the earth. And then he starts coughing. Everything is filthy and irksome. Why must I suffer this impediment on this most precious of days? Call for Genji. Alright. I have no idea what he's yelling about. He's probably lost his mind by now. Kraus-san. Isn't it harsh to say something like that of your own father? My father is already dead. There's nothing here but a phantom of what father once was. True, that guy's there's not much left to get out of this crazy guy. At any rate, as long as he has no intention of coming out, there's nothing we can do. Choking coughs continued to pour from the study. I'll go back downstairs. It would be a waste to let the fruits of Goda's prized cooking talent get any colder. One of the few things our relatives will be able to look forward to when they come to this house. Kraus spun around. He looked at his watch, mumbling and acting as though he had wasted time doing something he knew would be in vain. Genji. Father calls for you. Keep him company. Certainly. Nanjo? Let's go eat. If we stay here any longer, this sweet stench will ruin our sense of taste. Without waiting for Nanjo, Kraus went downstairs. Genji urged Nanjo to go and eat. Nanjo glanced between the door and Kraus's back as the latter disappeared down the stairs and let out a deep sigh. Sorry, Genji. Allow me to leave this in your hands. Leave it to me. Do what you can to avoid giving him alcohol. It's a habit that's far too difficult to break. Genji not here! Who dares keep Genji from coming? This place is fucking miserable. I can see why Jessica's like, this place fucking sucks. Can you imagine living here? Like, you can't eat any of your meals warm because your stupid grandfather won't come down? That'd be fucking lame. Please. Allow me to handle the situation here. Very well. Forgive me. Nanjo bowed slightly and descended the stairs. Genji watched him leave and then knocked on the study door. Master, it's Genji. Genji! Why have you kept me waiting so long? You're alone, I trust? Correct. Alone. Inzo returned to his seat in the study and pressed an old-fashioned switch on the table. After a small delay, the heavy sound of the door unlocking could be heard. Kinzo was convinced his family wanted to make a mess of his study, Or perhaps someone had once opened the window for some air and ended up scattering things that to him were important research materials, leaving him in a terrible mood. Kinzo had outfitted his room with a formidable lock, preventing anyone from entering without his permission and thereby sealing himself in a jail of his own making. Genji, who he trusted the most, was relatively free to enter the room, but even that didn't always hold. If Kinzo was in a bad mood, even Genji wouldn't be able to enter. Anyone else would be limited to holding a conversation through the door, unable to even see his face. And most of the time, what they got could hardly be called a conversation. However, this didn't trouble the rest of the family much. After all, it wasn't worth the effort to disturb this aging family head, who was impossible to please and always stayed shut away, immersed in his research. Taking advantage of his refusal to leave his room, they supported his isolation, putting his care entirely into the hands of the servants.
Genji,
Genji, my usual.
私は忙しい。
I'm busy.
はい。
Sir. Genji headed to the corner of the study. There, suspicious-looking bottles boasting venomous colors were on display. They were actually liquor, but considering the shady atmosphere of the room, one might easily suspect them of being some ghastly poison. Inside the study, the mysterious collection of books gathered by Kinzo had grown into a mountain. They were bizarre, ancient, or banned books, all of them either forbidden, cursed, or sealed. But if you tried to call them old books, Kinzo would fly into a rage and say, "Call them grimoires!" There were also many mysterious objects that presumably held some meaning with regards to black magic, like candles suspiciously melted and molded into strange shapes. The constellations of drawn on a certain celestial globe contained quite a few shapes that would draw puzzled looks from anyone familiar with today's night sky. I mean, all I'm seeing is I'm seeing an empty table, but there are wax figures and weird shapes and weird glyphs and stuff. And I'm like, it looks like a basic fucking room to me. Looks like your regular ass study. I don't even see a candle in this picture. But I'm gonna stop and click system to look at oh, we're missing 2 people. Okay. Here we go. Kraus's wife. We got the introduction for her. She manages the household of the Ashiramiya head family in place of her husband, who takes little interest in such matters. She's in charge of all preparations and arrangements for the conference. She possesses a strong sense of responsibility and a great deal of pride. However, neither her husband nor his siblings understand her, so her position is far from enviable. We have Genji, leader of the servants. He worked for Kinzo longer than anyone else and is the person most trusted by him. Since he serves Kinzo directly, Kraus and Natsuhi think of him as being a spy for Kinzo. We have Shannon. That's an interesting gap in her skirt. Alright. That's a really interesting gap. And she has like a tattoo, a family logo tattoo. Damn, alright. A young but experienced servant, she's normally calm and performs her job efficiently, but she messes up when she gets nervous. Furthermore, Shannon is nothing more than a pseudonym she uses when on duty, and not her real name. Okay, so it is a pseudonym. Cannon, a young servant, he performs his duties silently and diligently, but is not so highly regarded as a servant due to his unsociable nature. There are multiple other servants with the On character in their pseudonyms. He and Shannon both happen to be the ones on duty that day. Or just happen to be the ones on duty that day. Alright. Servant Goda hasn't served long. He's hired as a cook. Okay. Through his earlier jobs and previous experience, he's cultivated a talent for entertaining guests and is highly regarded as a servant. I mean, I guess if you're good at bussing other people, sure. Alright. Then we have the old man. Even though it's already been announced he has a few months to live, he's brimming with energy, and though he amassed a vast fortune in the past, he's never made any announcements regarding his inheritance, which worries his children. He's strongly influenced by the West and a rabid fan of the occult. His study is packed with mysterious grimoires. Kraus was just shown. Why isn't he in the list? Kraus is not shown because he hasn't had a proper introduction to Battler. I don't think we've had a proper introduction to Battler. I'm guessing that Kinzo is in this list because he's not ever going to meet Battler face to face. And so they just said fuck it and introduced him. Plus, he's had a couple... Kinzo has had a couple isolated scenes focused on himself, so that's unlike everyone else in this list, other than Battler. Since we've had first-person-ish or like third-person perspective focused on Kinzo, it kind of makes sense to have himself here. I guess left here is Beatrice. On the left is here is Beatrice, and presumably Kraus is the other missing portrait. The carelessly strewn about books contain many illustrations, all of them of a religious or mysterious nature, including some depicting demonically grotesque subjects or bizarre diagrams of various magic circles. I don't see any carelessly strewn about books. Everything is perfectly neat and tidy. Above all, a sweet, poisonous smell filled the room, profoundly assaulting the eyes and noses of those who entered for the first time. Eventually, it must surely make a person go numb and lose their grip on reality. Inside that study, Genji prepared Kinzo's usual drink with a well-trained hand. No one would even think of drinking such an ominous dark green liquid in that complex and ornate glass unless someone first told them it was alcohol. He poured a little into the glass, and then he placed a cube of sugar in a strangely shaped spoon and poured water from a pitcher over it. Strangely, when the transparent water was poured, the dark green liquid turned a cloudy white. It was a strange optical illusion, as though the water had caused a chemical reaction and made the drink become even more unrecognizable as liquor. Then Genji added original flavors Kinzo loved, fine-tuning its taste. There was no recipe. Its success was measured only by Kinzo's mood swings when he drank it, and it had taken Genji many decades to learn how to do it just right. He placed the glass on a tray and walked over to Kinzo. By this time, Kinzo was gazing out the window. Here you go, Master. Thanks. Kinzo regained his composure and was now unrecognizable as the shouting, screaming, yelling man from a moment ago. Looking at this man from behind the tilt as he tilted his glass and gazed down at the scenery beyond the window, he projected a sense of dignity and intelligence. To allow Kinzo to set his glass down at any time, Genji motionlessly waited behind Kinzo and to his left, as though he were a living sideboard. And then, without averting his eyes from the window, Kinzo held out his glass. There was only a mouthful remaining. It was not a gesture intended to set it on the tray, but a motion to hand the glass to Genji. Drink. My friend. Your words are too kind for me. No need for ceremony between us. Drink. My friend. Thank you. Genji respectfully received the glass and inclined it a little to taste its contents. After that, he gulped it down. I attempted to imitate your concoction, but no matter how hard I try, I can't replicate the taste. The way you make it is pure relish. Thank you very much. It is the fruit of your guidance, Master. Kinzo smiled at his loyal subject, who refused to put aside rank even when asked to. However, he was not making fun of him. His smile was relaxed, as though chuckling at a close friend's old unshakable habit. We've grown old together. Stopped counting the years long ago. Entirely thanks to you, I've been able to live like this until today. Kinzo gave a faint smile as if to say he didn't need any flattery. Until now, you've served exceedingly well. My sons call me eccentric. The servants that were once many have all quit in fear of me. Only you serve me even now. It's because you're an asshole, Kinzo. Your words are more than I deserve. My life will not last much longer. My sons are like vultures, lazily waiting for my inheritance to fall into their hands.
金を湯水のように使い、1枚の金貨を売るのに2枚の金貨を捨てておる。
Kraus is a fool who squanders money like water, who throws away 2 gold coins to obtain 1.
それで金を稼げたなどとも言う。
And then has the gall to claim he's earned money.
エヴァは金の亡者だ。あやつは私を鶏か何かだと思っておる。
Ava is a slave to money who thinks of me as a mere chicken.
死んだらガラにして出汁まで取る気だ。
When she dies, she plans to use my bones to make a broth. I mean, if you think everyone's an asshole, maybe you should look in a mirror too, Kinzo. Holy shit, dude.
ルドルフの間抜けは女遊びばかり。
That dunce Rudolph just wants to fool around with a
ロ
woman.
ーザはどこの馬の骨ともわからん男の赤ん坊など産みおって。
And Rosa bore the baby of a man who came from nowhere and about whom we know nothing.
ジェシカは無能で無学だ。
Jessica's incompetent and
ジョ
uneducated.
ージには男としての器がない。
George has none of what it takes to be a
バ
man.
トラーは後ろ宮家の栄誉を自ら捨ておった愚か者だ。
Battler's a fool who threw away the honor of the Yoshiromiya family.
マリアなど見るのも汚らわしい。
And Maria is obscene to the eye. What a dick.
なぜだ、なぜに後ろ宮の血はこうも無能なのか。
Why is the Yoshiromiya blood so incompetent?
私の築き上げた栄光を受け継ぐにふさわしい者はおらんのか。
Are there none worthy to inherit the glory I built?
ああ、分かっておるとも。これがベアトリーチェの呪いであることも分かっておる。
But I know. This is part of Beatrice's curse. I know it.
黄金の魔女め、それが私への復讐のつもりか。
Golden Witch, are you trying to take revenge against me in this way?
憎みたくば憎むがよい。
If you want to hate me, then
逃
do
げ
so.
たければ逃げるがよい。
If you want to hate me, if you want to run away, then run.
逃がさぬ、逃がさぬ、逃がさぬ、逃がさぬわ。
I won't let you go. I won't let you go. I won't let you go. Yeah.
お前は私のものだ。
You belong to
常
me.
に私の腕の中でなくてはならん。
You must always be in my arms for all my life.
私の生涯のすべてなのだ。我が鳥かごにて永遠に私だけにささやき続けるのだ。
You must stay in my birdcage for all eternity, whispering only to me. I can see why she left. I can see why she left if she had the option to leave. This guy is fucking loopy.
ベアトリーチェ、なぜに微笑み返してはくれる。
Why won't you smile back at me?
ベアトリーチェ。
He just doesn't shut up, does he? Alright, after howling, he choked once again. Genji set the tray and glass down and rubbed his master's back. Genji's facial expression did not change. It was always like this.
すまぬ、我が友よ。
Thanks, friend. When his seemingly deranged fit subsided, Kinzo regained his composure once more. It was like seeing two different people, a wild Kinzo and a composed Kinzo living together inside one body.
故に
And so,
私は決心した。
I have decided.
このままぼやき切った余生を怠慢に過ごすことなど、も
I
は
cannot
や
bear to
耐えら
spend
れ
my
はせん。
dimmed remaining years procrastinating like this. I mean, if you're whining about not having someone to give your inheritance to, maybe you should not live on an isolated island in the middle of nowhere when your only interactions are with your servants and with your direct family who visit you exactly once per year if they don't live with you.
この身に最後にとするコインがあるならば、それを悪魔たちのルーレットに
If I have one final
託して
coin
み
to
たい。
bet, I choose to abandon it to the whims of the demon's roulette.
魔法の力はいつもかけるリスクで決まる。
Power of magic is always determined by the risk of the gamble.
日本古来の呪術である牛の国米
Like
だそうであろう。
Like visiting a shrine at the hour of the ox in ancient Japanese sorcery to nail a curse doll to a tree. Magical power is produced specifically because of the risk it will be seen within the 7 days the curse takes. The greater the risk, the stronger the magic will be. Interesting philosophy. Many miracles that happened in myth might be called the crystallization of shocking magical power with a low probability of occurrence and astronomical risk. So he's saying because there was so much risk, it was more potent and thus actually occurred. An interesting philosophy. That Moses parted the waters of the sea was not a miracle of God. I see. The risk of that desperate situation, cornered by soldiers on the Red Sea's shores, weighed upon the scales of slaughter and gave birth to that miraculous magical power. I mean, that's a thing, but then why did, never mind. I was to say, why did the Moors not just cross the ocean when they were in, or why did the Moors just not just cross the Mediterranean Sea when they were cornered and trapped against the Mediterranean in the southern regions of Spain? But I guess it was not to be. If the same thing occurred again on the same scale, the sea would surely fail to part. After all, that's a fucking essay. That's a fucking essay, Kinzo. After all, Moses was able to magnificently summon a miracle engraved on but one of the countless innumerable results on the roulette of those with power. Ooh. This is that's the force that can triumph over astronomical odds. Indeed, good fortune that can grasp miracles is magical power itself. To obtain this mighty power, one must face the risk of despair. I'm kind of bored with this guy's ranting, but I think that like he's trying to pitch a theme of the story that we might see. That's what might happen, is like, okay, he's pitching like, you need to risk it all for a miracle. And it's like, okay, well, this is something that's probably going to happen, and this will be a theme that occurs throughout the story a few times. So even if you're like, this guy's rant is kind of bland, he might be telling you, the reader of the story, something important, even though the nonsense he's spewing is clearly garbage. Those lacking magical power may call that desperation rather than a bet. However, those who truly possess magical power can grasp a hold of that miracle and make the enigma come into being. If that power might exist within me, I'll seize that miracle and have a chance at making the wish I devoted my life towards come true. Kinzo looked to the sky outside the window. He spread his arms as if appealing to someone up in the skies. If only. If only we were capable of grasping that miracle.
Beatrice!
Oh, Beatrice!
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 お前の愛くるしい笑顔をもう一度だけ見せてくれ。
Show me your lovely smile once more. This is where it turns out she was someone he hallucinated. in a drunken stupor because this guy is getting wasted all the fucking time.
No
matter how much time passes, your face does not vanish. I want to just see her smile, that's all. I'll return everything you granted me. All the glory I've gained since that day. Neither fortune, prestige, nor gold. I'll return everything you gave me. Isn't he thinking she's gonna take it all away either? Anyway, I'm so confused when he promises this, because, like, not 5 minutes ago, he was saying shit, like, in the opening scene, where, like, she'd take it all and there'd be nothing left anyway. He's not being coherent. Oh, I just want to see your smile. The only thing that's consistent is him simping for Beatrice, or wanting to. Is this how VTuber simps feel when their favorite VTuber retires? His nonsensical yells became a scream and then a wail. Kinzo slumped to the floor, tearing at it with both hands. Genji had no choice but to wordlessly watch over his master's lamentations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the family head's health is not at its best. He seemed This guy's just lying his ass off. Alright, so we know Kraus. Kraus is a chronic liar. Alright. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the family head's health is not at its best. He seemed extremely sad not to be able to share lunch with you at all. And now that you have gathered here for this event, it occurs but once a year. Goda, let lunch begin. If I was Goda and used to this absolute fucking bullshit, I'd be making charcuterie like every fucking day. I'd be like, fuck this, you guys aren't ruining my perfectly good meals by having this old man jerk off in his room while we wait 2 hours. We're gonna have charcuterie. We're gonna have some nice sandwiches that don't go bad in like 30 minutes. We're gonna have like really simple luncheon stuff that doesn't go bad. Like, you know, I'm not gonna cook a meal. I'm not gonna cook a hot meal for it to sit on a plate for an hour while the old man screams about Beatrice. Dr. Nanjo, is father's condition really that bad? Couldn't he have at least let us see his face? It's more of a mood than a physical condition. And for that, there is no medicine I can prescribe. He's like, yeah, I can't do shit, it's his mood. He doesn't have a medical condition. Are we talking about his mood again? You gotta be fucking kidding me. We take time out of our schedules during this damn busy autumn season just to come find out how he's doing. Note he's commenting that the season's busy. Maybe Ava was slightly right. He does not want it to be. He does, in fact, want it to move from autumn. And now he's. You should be happy, Rudolph. You now know how he's doing. Or what? Would you rather take my place and try to persuade our ill-humored father to join us? Are you kidding? Rudolph shrugged. Apparently, though Rudolph was willing to be indignant on how self-centered his father was, he wasn't particularly disappointed to be spared a face-to-face meeting. I wouldn't either. Guy seems like an asshole. Does it seem his mood will improve before dinner? Kraus-ni-san? I have no idea. If you want to know, ask him directly. Although I think his mood will improve faster if we don't bother him. Genji's the only one who can get grandfather out of a funk. It's kind of pathetic, though, making the servants deal with your own parents' bad mood. Jessica. Don't speak out of turn. She'd planned for her complaint to be heard only by her cousins, but it reached even Krause's ears. Scolded, Jessica scowled and turned away, sulking. Well, if he's as cranky as they make him sound, he can't be that sick, right? I mean, they're saying he's in a bad mood, not that he's got no energy, which at least it proves he's got his wits about him. Battler, being new here, is huffing as much copium as humanly possible. Or maybe he's just completely clueless. It's because grandfather has especially strong willpower. It doesn't mean his body will keep up, though. Since last year, they keep saying he has 3 months left. If the diagnosis was correct, grandfather's been prolonging his life by willpower alone. It's right for us to worry about him. Lunch started with the family head's seat still empty. The man who should be sitting there had already grown old, and the brilliant glory which had rebuilt the Ushiro Miya family in the span of a single lifetime was being forgotten. Even though they were beginning the meal with that seat still empty, no one felt it was that odd anymore. Another break. Looks like they're accelerating to 1:30. Okay. So, just after lunch. Oh, that was just the dialogue box popping up for a moment. The Shiromiya family conference was held once every year on the first weekend of October. If a normal family were to hold a so-called family conference, you'd expect it to be nothing more than a reunion of rarely seen relatives who greet each other around buckets of sushi or something. However, part of the family's great fortune had been lent out grandfather's children, and no one in the family was considered an adult until they met with success in business. So this meeting was literally a conference. How much of the fortune was invested, what sort of business was conducted, how much profit was earned. As a result, how much of the fortune borrowed from the main family could be repaid, or possibly how much more would be borrowed for future business ventures. What lessons had they learned? With what could they learn from their mistakes? It seemed that the topics like these were discussed very seriously in the past. My dad said it was like lying on a bed of nails. Apparently it used to be a serious family meeting where people were bathed in scornful, angry voices, and some people even got slapped despite their age. However, that had become a thing of the past. Now, with everyone pursuing their own business ventures and achieving success, it was becoming more of a normal, yearly get-together. Even so, telling grandfather about recent events was extremely stressful. While it was nothing more than a simple get-together for us grandchildren, it was a real stomachache for our parents. The absence of the man who was the source of all this trouble, regardless of the reason, probably made today's lunch taste much more delicious. The phrase, "Well, the demon is not around, everyone can relax," that comes to mind. Anyway, let's introduce Jessica's father, whose face we haven't seen in 6 years. The man sitting to my father's left is his older brother and Jessica's father, Uncle... yeah. This name sure is easy to read. Krause. Now that we've gotten used to this string of weird names, our perspective is totally skewed. Krause doesn't actually seem all that bad. He even starts to sound kinda cool. Just like with Uncle Natsu or Aunt Natsuhi, I didn't have many memories of speaking with Uncle Krause. He'd never been one to chat with children, and I felt like he was always talking with the adults, just like Aunt Natsuhi. According to my father's gossip, he was a spiteful and violent man. If what he said is true, Uncle Krause used to be very domineering from his position as the oldest sibling, and was despised by all the other siblings. Though, despite that, those siblings all seem to be chatting happily together. Oh well. Even if their relationship was bad when they were children, sometimes when people grow up and live apart from each other, their relationships change. Probably what this was. After all, they had children of about the same age. By sharing the same family environment, they probably profited by exchanging opinions. Maybe because of that, a short while ago, the circle of parents began to discuss the exams Jessica and I would be taking. Jessica, to escape questions about exams from my father on her left, purposefully faced right while firing off a rapid series of comments, not giving him any chance to get a word in. Moving on, let's look at the opposite end from Kraus and the others. In the very last seats at the table, an old gentleman with a sturdy physique sat facing Kiri-san. It was my first time meeting him. I only had just been introduced to him, but it seems he's grandfather's personal doctor, a man named Nanjo. Wait, was that South something? Hold up. That looks like South something. Alright. I heard he used to own a huge clinic on the nearby island of Nijima, but he turned it over to his son and began living a life of leisure in his old age. He'd known grandfather since the beginning when the mansion was first built on the island and built up a relationship over several decades. Okay. I thought at first the two of them might have gotten to know each other through grandfather's suspicious hobbies, but it seems he's actually his chess partner. Oh, that hobby seems like our grandfather, with his love of all things Western. Nanjo's probably the only person who could enter Rokkenjima, despite being neither a family member nor a servant. He looks like a calm old gentleman as he listened to the discussion between Kiri and the other women who sat near to him. Considering how long he stayed by the side of our short-tempered grandfather, his generous heart was probably nothing to laugh at. Still, even if he's a family doctor, having anyone outside the Ushiromiya family attend the family conference is a little odd. Made me think grandfather's condition might have worsened so much it'd be a major topic of discussion at today's conference. After all, George said something like that a second ago, something about how we've been getting continuous reports since around last year he didn't have long to live. It's nasty to think about, but considering how rich grandfather is, at the time of his death his wealth will suddenly be released, probably along with a fair share of our parents' stomach acid. And it'll lead to ulcers for everyone. After all, this sort of thing just gets messier when there's more wealth to be divided. That's true. There's a good chance they'll be talking about stuff like that at the family conference. Still, it's not like it's got anything to do with us kids. Finally, even though he hasn't shown up, let me introduce our grandfather. The person who should be sitting in that incipient chair is Kinzo. It really sucks. Everyone else in the family has these weird names, but he's got this perfectly normal one himself. If only his name were written Kinzo, but then he let us call him Goldsmith or something. I'd totally freak out. If his name were... Okay, I assume that's like kanji for Goldsmith. I mean, the first character is Gold. That is the exact same kanji in Sakata Kintoki's name, the first one. Second one, I don't know what it is. If he let us call him Goldsmith, though, that'd be funny. Gorudusmi. Yeah, it's Kin. Gold. Kanji for gold. As you can probably guess by now, he's a frightening person with an extremely short temper. I'm one of his grandchildren, not a son, and I haven't seen him since elementary school. Thanks to that, I have no memory of being beaten myself, but our parents were apparently raised with an iron fist. That earlier conversation between my dad and Kraus about who should convince grandfather to come down seems pretty darn funny once you know their background. You can't really tell grandfather's story without covering that pivotal event right before the Showa era. Okay, 1925? Or earlier? Until the Meiji and Taisho eras, the Ushiromiya family was great and prosperous. They owned several spinning mills, making them rich enough to just double over laughing every day as the money kept rolling in. Incidentally, grandfather was a member of a branch family and had pretty much nothing to do with the main family. Not only was he way down the list of people who could inherit the headship, he had hardly any contact with the glamorous main family. However, during the Great Kanto earthquake in the year Taisho 12, aka 1923, the mansion owned by the Ushiromiya family in Odawara was flattened. RIP. Spinning mills in Tokyo were all burned down in a huge fire, and the Ushiromiya family lost most of its wealth and family members in an instant. RIP. That's a nasty earthquake. So once they started trying to figure out who the successor to the family should be, they apparently found no one remaining except Kinzo in his branch family. In Kinzo's later reminiscences, he referred to this as good fortune so great it overturned fate. With that, grandfather's boring everyday life did a 180. He was entrusted with reviving the dying Ushiromiya family, which had lost nearly all of its wealth. However, just because he'd been entrusted with it didn't mean he could accomplish it. Apparently, those around him weren't really expecting much. However, this is when grandfather began displaying his extraordinary talent and good luck. Grandfather used all the family's remaining wealth, as well as everything from the hair on his head to his toenails, as collateral in order to borrow a massive amount of money. Once he built up a gigantic war chest, he immediately invested in businesses. It was like someone tumbling down a hill on a bike without any brakes, and then jumping onto a neighboring bike, and then another one. Just like some crazy street performance. I'll bet everyone thought he had no business ability whatsoever. However, after several miracles in turns of luck, with coincidences piling up and every chance taken advantage of, he was suddenly in control of powerful connections with the occupying forces. Alright. At the time, MacArthur and GHQ were the ultimate authority in Japan, and grandfather, in the twinkle of an eye, began succeeding in business under the protection of the occupying forces, quickly becoming very rich. Okay, so post-World War II, he's, oh wait, MacArthur? Was MacArthur right? Oh no, it's Showa. It's before that, right? I'm confused. By this point, it's probably safe to say that information, not luck, saved the day. He must have made some seriously deep connections with the occupying forces. He knew beforehand about emergency demands that would be made for the Korean War. Nope, this is definitely World War II. Post-World War II. But how is he tasked with it like 100 years before that? They're talking 1800s when he's being tasked with building up their fortunes. And it's like the 1990s now? So that'd mean like early 1800s. So he's like 200 years old? Okay. It was more than that. Wait, can I scroll back to see this? Let's see. Nope, I can't scroll back that far. Okay. It was more than that. He must have predicted those emergency demands from the very beginning when he started investing his money. The history books make it sound like all of Japan made a huge profit off the emergency demands during the Korean War, but it isn't actually true. Only a very limited number of the super rich played the money game and made an easy profit. Most citizens, well, they remained poor. Sucks to be you, I guess. In other words, grandfather was a member of this extremely lucky group of winners. I'm pretty sure this all happened during the year Showa 25, 1950 or so. Okay. That's like 130 years after their disaster. The Great Kanto earthquake happened in Taisho 13, 1924. Why were they talking about the 1800s then? Yeah, whatever. That means grandfather was able to revive the near-dead Ushiromiya family in about 20 years to a level even higher than it had ever been before. Yeah, everything's fun. Yeah. With that, you'd think he'd revive the main family in Odawara. But for some reason, he went and did something as crazy as buying an entire small island in the Izu archipelago. Buying an entire island is not something you can ordinarily do today. However, grandfather was clever. He contacted the GHQ and applied for the establishment of a marine resource base. He acquired this island as a business property and then tossed that project aside and claimed it as his own plot of land. After the war, there were prevention measures against food shortages, and having the sponsorship of the GHQ meant no one could oppose him. From what I've heard, the Tokyo metropolis of the day offered this land to him practically for free. Later, Tokyo made difficulties by telling Kinzo to return the land, but the pushy GHQ intervened. Anyway, it seems under-the-table bribes did their work well. In the end, the city gave up in frustration, and grandfather, with considerable skill and good luck, managed to weather the stormy seas of that period, obtaining a fortune and his own island. Of course, it probably wasn't all luck. He was obsessed with all things Western, which helped him cultivate his English skills. He was able to use this to his advantage and sink his teeth into the GHQ. A mansion was built on the island soon after. This mansion, in fact, grandfather, with his love of the Western style, made this once uninhabited island a canvas upon which he could realize his dreams to his heart's content. He now had the Western mansion of his dreams, overflowing with emotion and atmosphere, a beautiful rose garden featuring all sorts of roses, And he had a private beach where nobody other than himself would ever be permitted to leave a footprint. This would be a dream come true for anybody. Was it any boy? It was any boy, my bad. After that, he made good use of his huge fortune, becoming a large stockholder in the extremely stable iron and steel industry, and was able to live an easy and comfortable life just using the dividends. Well, he's just that incredible. This kind of person usually has the ability to foresee and predict the future, or at least that's how they're portrayed after the fact. Grandfather denies that, repeatedly saying it was simply extraordinary luck. Anyway, even a lord like that can't help but grow increasingly eccentric when locked up, alone on an island where all his dreams are made real. Everyone knows he's had a Western obsession from the start, but none of our parents really know when this bizarre black magic hobby began. Did his love of black magic begin when he became fascinated with everything Western? Or did his miraculous stretch of good luck while reviving his family cause him to feel a mysterious power in himself? I got a question. If he's revived the family, why is it only him and his 4 children that are all the members of the family? Shouldn't there be other people that are in the family branches that exist? Shouldn't there be other people being invited to this club? Like, it said he's like a fraction of a family and there's like 50 million branches, and he was literally like 10th child in line for this. Shouldn't they have like lots of cousins that are visiting them? Like the 11th in line or 12th in line or 13th in line? I'm just curious. Alright. At some point, Grandfather began to make the research of black magic his life's work. He filled his study up with suspicious books, chemicals, and magical items as he became increasingly bizarre. From what I've heard, those around him warmly watched over him, figuring that someone who achieved success in life had a right to do as they pleased, but there's no way that's true. They were probably just creeped out thinking that's disgusting and I don't want to get involved. A good 5-foot pole seems to do the trick, right? Anyway, that agitated period was an age of big gambles with both opportunity and risk. Let's say Grandfather was born in this time period, we would have had no opportunities and would probably have advanced like a chess piece from mandatory education to college at a leisurely pace, never becoming more than the average salaryman. If that happened, he'd probably have sat somewhere happily talking behind his boss's back. No, not in a fancy dining hall like this. More like at a table in some bar. Then again, I bet this family conference would be a whole lot more relaxing if that were the case. Yeah, it'd be considerably nicer, less stressful. Okay, enough about the old geezer. More importantly, let's talk about his incredible lunch. I'm already convinced by that sashimi salad appetizer. Goda-san's an excellent chef. Plus, these fish were caught in the adjacent seas, right? They're totally different from the sashimi you get at the supermarket. Quit it, Battler. Your upbringing will be exposed. Everyone let out a big laugh. You say that even though you love those cheap pubs. I think his dad's there for the women, though.
僕も仕事の都合で珍しいところで食事をすることもあるけど、それらと比べてもこれはかなりのものだよ。
I've eaten at many unusual places because of work, but this stands right up there with the best of them.
ゴーダさんは多分その道じゃ少しは知られた人だったんじゃないかな。
Be willing to bet Goda used to be pretty well known in those circles.
よくは知らねえんだけどよ。
Well, I don't know the details. I don't know why, but I like her purple outfit. Like the purple parts of her outfit. Anyway.
老舗ホテルでのれん分けだか派閥の分裂だかややこしいことがあってよ。
Stuff got complicated at the long-standing hotel he used to work at. What with them opening a new establishment with the same name and breaking into factions or whatever it was.
そのトラブルで辞めざるを得なくなっちまったんだってさ。
In the middle of it, he was apparently forced to retire.
それでその時偶然お袋が使用人
And
の
at that
求人
time,
を出してたわけなんだよ。
Mom just happened to be sending out job offers for a servant. As Goda removed the empty plates, he began to recount his own bumpy past without losing his smile. World's a difficult place.
しかし、そのおかげでこうして今日、後宮家で再び料理人として
However, thanks to the madam, I was given a chance to display my skills as chef once again, this time for the Ushiromiya family. Although I enjoy experiencing the smiles of a larger number of people, I also find it quite entertaining to perform more delicate work than can please the limited number of people who've employed me. It's all thanks to the opportunity given to me by the madam. Goda-san respectfully bowed his head towards Aunt Natsuhi. Because you were the most talented of the applicants. The decision was purely objective, not based on personal feelings. No need to thank me. Dang, why does Aunt Natsuhi always have to sound so indifferent? If only she spoke with a bit more kindness, she might leave a different impression. Shannon Chan and Kumasawa-san entered from the hallway with a serving cart. Excuse us. Now, on to today's dessert. Goda-san and the others laid the beautifully adorned dessert out in front of us all. I guess it's true when they say you have another stomach for dessert. I thought I'd filled up on delicious food, but as soon as I laid eyes on that dessert, my stomach yelled, more. I don't know much about desserts, but this looked really good. A white pudding-like substance was garnished with 2 shades of red sauce. Elegant rose petals adorned the dish. Normally, during a high-class meal like this, you're supposed to wait for the chef to extol the virtues of his particular meal before eating. However, Maria was completely indifferent to strict rules like that, so she got excited by this beautiful and delicious dessert, jumping into the fray as soon as it was placed before her. Aunt Rosa scolded her, calling it bad manners, but George responded by saying, no, it's okay. This part's sour? It's sour? Hello, this one's so good. Maria exclaimed as she sampled the 2 color sauces. Some are good, some are not. I'll give it a go. Apparently one sauce was sweet and the other sour. Despite it being bad manners, I also stuck my little finger in and licked it. One of them was sour enough to make you pucker up. If it were yellow, I'd have suspected lemon, but I couldn't guess what kind of sourness would be a red. I decided to ask Shannon, who was putting away the serving cart behind us. Shannon, what kind of sauce is this sour stuff? Shannon hesitated. Maybe her job was just to set the table, as she doesn't really know. Still, even considering that, she seems pretty stressed. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. Or did they use some ingredient we'd be better off not knowing about? While Aunt Natsuhi made a gesture that seemed to indicate an oncoming headache, Kumasawa-san, who was setting the table at the opposite seat, began to chuckle. Oh, what do you think we made it out of? It'll shock you. There is pure sour. There's like a pure sour powder. Wait. Kumasawa, that laugh's pretty creepy. So what is it? Don't tell anyone, okay? Listen carefully. Kumasawa leaned across from the other side of the table. I leaned forward myself when she asked. Their interest caught Jessica, George, and of course Maria also put their ears closer. What? 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 Quickly. Quickly. You see, the sour part is made from... juice squeezed from a mackerel. Mackerel? That's crazy, we all thought, horrified. Only Maria accepted it, nodding sagely. Mackerel are sour? This is what comes out when you squeeze them. When Maria started clamoring that mackerel were sour, the adults were unable to contain their laughter. Only Aunt Rosa, her face red, whispered to Maria that mackerel is sour only once prepared as shimesaba. Alright. Now I totally remember. Kumasawa was always like this, wasn't she? I remember her tricking me too in all sorts of ways when I was young. The most lethal has got to be that one. Those flimsy black things in Chinese dishes. They're kikurage mushrooms. She told me they were penguin meat, and I went all around school like a smartass telling everyone, didn't I? You sure have changed. You know, Maria's gonna believe it now, right? It's a joke. It's a joke. And now Goda's gonna tell us what the sauce really is, won't he? Goda looked a little put off about his masterpiece being laughed at for such a bizarre reason, but after clearing his throat once, he introduced the dessert to us. Allow me to introduce our dessert. Alright. Yeah, finding good art can be hard sometimes. You gotta find stuff that matches what you're looking for. And especially if you're looking up servants, it's like, oh man, female servant, not safe. Actually, look up servants in general. Not safe for work art everywhere. Alright, allow me to introduce you our dessert. After seeing how much you all enjoyed the rose garden earlier today, I finished this panna cotta in a rose garden style. The rose petals scattered across were selected just now from that very rose garden. The sauce is a combination of two reds, strawberry and rose hips. Enjoy this mixture of the strawberries' sweetness and the rose hips' sourness. Furthermore, the rose petals are purely decorative. Please avoid them while you eat. With that said, please enjoy. I almost want to applaud before eating. Just like with medicine, reading the detailed description first seems to make it work a whole lot better. As Goda elaborated on the details of this dessert, it started to feel even more appetizing. Seriously, should you call him subtle or just talented? The dessert was probably planned from the beginning, but taking the hint, when we all stopped in front of the rose garden earlier today, he displayed an incredible and timely awareness just by adding a few rose petals from that garden. This combination of sweet and sour was also exquisite. If it was just sweet, you'd get used to it and bored halfway through, but if you reach the sour sauce at that point, you'd get a really vivid taste. Yeah, swinging between two extremes, that'd be really fun. And then once you return to the sweet sauce, all the sourness would be replaced with an enjoyable sweetness. I'm sure everyone else felt the same way. Every time Goda passed by one of her seats, someone praised the taste and his presentation. How is it, madam? Splendid as always. It is worthy of entertaining our guests. I am most grateful for your words. Madam, did you know? I've heard rose hips have the ability to cure headaches. I thought you in particular would appreciate it, so I had it specially prepared. That's so. Thank you. Didn't I tell you, Natsuhine-san? Rose hips are great for headaches. So it would seem. I hope it actually helps. Goda, I love you. Later on, why don't you tell me how they're treating you? Or, if you can't, just let me know what sort of salary you'd like. Having your talent confined to this small island is a sacrilege to humanity's cooking culture. What do you think about working your craft for my company and delighting all our customers? Hideyoshi-san. Are you trying to steal away our Goda? That won't do at all. We'd better start treating him better or he'll get snatched up.
そうした方がいいわね。じゃないと引き抜かれて、3食が熊沢さんのサバ料理にされちゃうわよ。
If you don't, someone's gonna grab him and you'll be stuck with 3 meals of Kumasawa-style mackerel cooking per day, won't you?
これは手厳しゅうございます。
Harsh, that's harsh.
しっかり根に持たれてしまいまして。
Seems someone's holding a grudge against me. Everyone let out a huge laugh. According to Jessica, Kumasawa-san's mackerel jokes were a running gag that our parents had long since gotten used to. Kumasawa often claimed that mackerels had precious nutritional value, which could slow aging, make people smarter, and more. Supposedly, it couldn't stop the outward signs of aging, it did help prevent it on the inside. Since she was still spirited enough to tell the kind of jokes at her age, there must be something to that theory.
それでは失礼いたします。
In that case, if you'll excuse me.
夕食にはふるって。
Prepare yourself for tonight's dinner.
たくさんのサバ料理をお召し上がりいただきますので、どうぞご期待くださいませね。
I'll be cooking plenty of mackerel dishes for you all, so you'd better look forward to it.
今晩はしめ鯖でキュッとしゃれ込みたいぜ。
We sure will. Can't wait to get all puckered up from tonight's shimisaba.
それは素敵ね。
Sounds
ついで
wonderful.
に日本酒の美味しいのも出てこないかしら。
I wonder if they'll be serving any good Japanese sake.
ございますよ。
Oh, we certainly
六
will.
軒島名物のサバ焼酎なるものがございまして。
Haven't you heard of Rokkenjima's famous mackerel shochu? Nothing but mackerel tonight. Nothing but mackerel. Kumasawa-san, together with Shannon, bowed and pushed the serving cart away. It was pretty fun to watch Goda-san, who looked like his show had totally been stolen, explain in a serious voice that we'd be having calf steak for dinner.
熊沢さん、さっきはありがとうございました。
Kumasawa-san, thanks for doing that back there. As she pushed the serving cart, Shannon bowed her head very deeply.
なんもお礼を言われることなんてありま
Oh, I
せん。
haven't done anything that requires thanks. Kumasawa may have played dumb, but she had obviously understood and saved Shannon in the nick of time. Back when Battler had asked about the dessert, Shannon had unfortunately hesitated. There may have been several ways to dodge the question, but all of them would have required some quick wits. Shannon, who hesitated when hard-pressed for a response, was always suffering because of this small weakness. If only Shannon had a little bit of the craftiness needed to cleverly shake off a mistake like Goda, her life would have been a bit easier. The fact she could perform other tasks flawlessly made this weakness even more unfortunate. However, there were some who understood Shannon's honest nature and her inability to gloss over a mistake, drawing attention away from it. It was why Kumasawa had smoothly come to her rescue.
さっき源氏さんが午後のシフトに変更があるとおっしゃってましたよ。
I heard from Genji there'll be a change in the afternoon
確
shifts.
かシャノンさんは夕方までお休みがもらえたと思いました。
I believe you're given a break until this evening. I'm jealous.
すみません。シフト表を確認していませんでした。
Sorry, I haven't checked the shift chart yet.
そうそう。オーブ
Yes,
ンで
yes.
これからちょっとサバを焼こうと思ってるんですよ。
I was thinking you might start cooking some mackerel in the
で
oven.
きたらお休みの前にちょっと手伝ってくれると嬉しいですね。
If you don't mind, I'd be happy if you would help me out a bit before your break.
は
Of course, yeah.
い。喜んでお手伝いさせていただ
I'd
き
be
ます。
delighted to. To Shannon, Kumasawa is like a mom amongst the servants. Alright. We've met most of our cast now. The dining hall needed to be cleaned up, so we were chased out. Instead, tea was being served in the parlor. Apparently, they prepared the black tea Aunt Rosa bought for Aunt Natsuhi. Maria said she also wanted to have some black tea, but my old bastard said she couldn't and told us children to go play outside.
バトラ君、みんなで表に散歩に行かないかい？
Battler, why don't we all go for a walk outside?
バラでも見に行ったらええ。
Yeah, go take a look at the roses or something. This place sounds incredibly
で
boring.
も天気には十分注意するんや
Keep a
で。
close eye on the weather.
空はまだ明るいが、天気予報は降る降
The
る
sky is
と繰り
clear,
返
but
し
the
とる
weather report spoke of rain. Okay, so we might have some rain. Maria's apparently. I want to go to the beach. The beach.
あら素敵じゃない
That sounds wonderful.
砂浜で遊ぶなんて普段はなかなかできない
Playing
も
on
の
a
ね
sandy beach isn't something you get to do often, is it? Wait, don't you live on an island? Don't you live in an island country? How far away is the beach in Japan? It can't be that far. Shit, man.
そっか。
Good point.
よし。じゃあみんなで浜辺でも行こう
To
ぜ。
the beach then. Beach episode? Beach episode already?
マリア、
Yeah, let's go.
服を濡らさないようにするのよ。
Maria, be careful not to get your clothes wet. Oh, they're gonna go in clothes.
靴もよ。
Or your shoes.
濡らさ
Don't get wet. Won't get wet. Wait,
素直で可愛い
that obedience is
バ
cute.
トラ君マリアちゃんの面倒ちゃんと見てあげてね
Battler, keep an eye out for Maria, okay?
おうよ任せろ
Sure, leave it to me.
ほう。お前もキリエに頼まれると素直で可愛いじゃねえか。
You're pretty obedient and cute yourself, listening to Kiri like that.
たまには俺の言うことも素直に聞いて
Why
み
don't you
ろ
listen to
な
me obediently for a change?
まっぴらごめんだぜ
Hell
行こう
no!
ぜみんな
Let's go, everyone. The children flew out of the parlor. They were replaced by Genji, who pushed a serving cart in and prepared to serve the tea. The parlor was filled with sublime aroma, which delighted everyone while they waited to sate their thirst.
ルドルフのところは家族仲がいいじゃないか。
Rudolph's family certainly seems
いい
close.
ことだ。
It's a wonderful thing.
よせよ。兄貴のところには負けるぜ。
Wait, we're no match for your family, Aniki.
そうよ
That's true.
ジェシカちゃん本当に可愛らしく育ったじゃな
You
い
raised Jessica-chan to be so adorable. Actually, we've been introduced to everyone. Is it time to determine best girl yet? Or do we have to wait for Beatrice to show up?
これも夏日姉さんの教育の賜物ね
Imagine it's another fruit of your talents at education and training, Natsuhine-san.
どうも
Thank you. Natsuhi answered coldly. The conversation broke off then and the parlor fell silent. Maybe Hideyoshi couldn't bear the silence because he broke it himself with an exaggerated gesture.
しかし、成長は早いもんやで。
Still, they do grow
い
fast.
つまでも子供だと思っ
I
て
thought
た
they'd be
ら、
kids forever.
図体はみるみるでかくなり、いつの間にか大人の仲間入りや。
They start getting huge all of a sudden and then they're adults, just like all
バ
of
トラ
us.
君なんか見違えたで。
Battler looked like a completely different person now.
体は大きくなりましたけどまだ子供です
His body's grown bigger, but he's still just a
う
kid.
ちの主人も未だに子供ですけれど
You could say the same about my husband.
子供と大人の境ってどこなのかしらね。
I wonder where the border between child and adult is.
私、未だに大人になったって自覚が持てない。
Still don't feel as though I've grown up.
情けないじゃないか。
Well, isn't that pitiful?
一児の母の言うことではない。
That's not really something the mother of a child should say.
そうね
Right, right.
私たちももう子供じゃない
We're not children
大
anymore.
人同士よ
We're all adults
だか
now.
ら感情的にならず知的な会話をしたいわね
So I wish we could talk together on an intellectual level rather than an emotional one. When Ava smiled with sharp sarcasm, everyone seemed to get more tense. It felt as though that pleasant tea aroma had been tossed out the window.
知的な会話なら昔からいつも心がけているじゃないか。
Since long ago, we've always endeavored to engage in intellectual
お前
conversation.
の嫌味は時に的を外している。
It seems your sarcasm occasionally misses its mark,
昔から変わらない。
as it always has.
昔からいつもですって
Oh, what is it you've always endeavored to do?
あらあら
My, my. A nice ara wasted.
その言葉をきれいに放送して何十年か前のこの部屋に届けてあげたいわね
I wish I could wrap those words up and send them to this room a few decades ago.
ねえローザ
Right, Rosa? Rosa gave a vague smile. She knew that, whether she agreed or disagreed, she'd earned the displeasure of one sibling. It was a bit of worldly wisdom that had been essential for someone growing up as the youngest sibling.
よせよ、姉貴。
Quit it,
ガキどもが
Aniki.
いない間に本題に入ろうじゃねえか。
We better get started on the main topic while the rats aren't around.
それこそ知的な話よ。
Let's make that our intellectual discussion. As Rudolph glanced over the faces of all present, some let out a slight sigh and some let a small look of resignation cross their face. They were approaching their unavoidable true agenda. Last year, his life was estimated to be about 3 months. Which means, I guess he's got minus 9 months left now. We take that to mean it might happen suddenly at any time? He's still alive and well. The fact that you bring up such an inappropriate topic under the light of day makes me doubt your sanity, Rudolph. Still Natsuhi. Is the sort of thing you can't put off until after something happens. He's still healthy now. This makes it the perfect time to talk about this while we've still got time to plan. It's financial etiquette, you might say. It seems father's the focus of everyone's concern. Nanjo? Can we hear the details from you? That seems to be what everyone's waiting for after all. Nanjo, who had been standing by the window and staring out at the rose garden, let out a single cough when he realized he was being called. Nanjo? How is his condition? To begin, allow me to start with a revision since my estimate... This guy's quieter than the music, my god. To begin, allow me to start with a revision since my estimate last year had only 3 months left and it was not borne out. No need to explain. Yeah, you're saying that measuring remaining life's only a prediction, not a promise, right? Correct. Because of that, well, I will... Okay. Because of that, while I will accept everyone's repeated questions, I can by no means confirm when he will pass away. A human life is supported by their body and their mind. Okay, fair enough. He says if a human life is supported by the body and mind, if the body is weak, the situation becomes more dangerous, but if the mind is strong enough to compensate, the effects of one's condition can sometimes remain in a subdued state. So even if yes, that's exactly what he's saying, Kiri. So you're saying even if his body's weak, his mind is still firm and spirited? Kiri, sorry, please stay quiet for a minute. Sorry. That is correct. Kinzo's body is being overwhelmed by the demon of ill health. It will hold especially true as long as he continues to partake of such strong alcohol. So he's in a crisis because he drinks. Maybe he's lived this long because he drinks. Ah, that's dad for you. The heavy drinker. Well then, Doctor, I know you can't give me more than a prediction. You think the odds of father living until this day next year are? That's a rude question to ask about the family head. Natsuhi jumped on Eva, not even bothering to hide her astonished expression. Eva stared back daringly, but Hideyoshi realized what was going on and tried to smooth things over with a forced smile.
Natsuhi-san, kanina.
He's-san, forgive her. Eva, please choose your words more carefully, okay? Oh,
お
sorry.
父様の容体が気になって仕方なかった
I
の
was
で。
just so concerned about father's condition.
そうですか。
Is that so?
それは気づきませんでした。
I hadn't realized.
南條先生、聞かせてやってください。
Nanjo, please tell us.
父親の寿命を気遣う娘の麗しい家族愛じゃないですか。
For the sake of the beautiful love of a daughter. Hello? Worried about her father's lifespan. Alright. Kraus laughed sarcastically, and Ava, smiling sweetly, returned an identical chuckle.
来年までお元気かという質問ですが、
You ask whether he'll be healthy next
医者
year.
の私としてはとても難しい。
As a doctor, it's hard to
こ
say.
の小康状態がまだしばらくは続くようにも思いますし、
Well, I do think this lull in his condition will continue
何
for
ら
a
かの
while.
発作が来れば、その時にはどうしようもないかもしれませ
If
ん。
he suffers a fit, there may be nothing we could do.
何しろ、六軒島は孤島です。
After all, Rokkenjima is a solitary island. Yeah, if he has any medical complications, he's probably dead if this one doctor can't help him.
すぐに救急車が飛んでこれるわけではありません。
It's not as though an ambulance could quickly jump in to
本
save
来
him.
ならば、本土のしかるべき大病院に入院していただきたいところなのですが、
Normally, I'd want him placed in a hospital on the mainland, but
親父殿は高尚な研究を中断されたくないと仰せ。
he says father said he doesn't want his noble research interrupted.
去年無理に連れ出そうとしたのがあだになったらしい。
Seems he holds a grudge over the way we tried to force him out last
外
year.
へ出れば病院に閉じ込められてしまうのではないかとひどくお疑いになられていてな。
Apparently, he strongly suspects he'll be shut away in some hospital if he goes
すっ
outside.
かりこのざまなのだよ。
And that's how things are now.
南條先生の診察は受けておられるの？
Has Dr. Nancho been examining it?
親父殿は南條先生には心を許しておられる。
Father trusts
機
the
嫌が良け
doctor.
れば診察も受けられるようだがね。
Seems he can be examined when in one of his better moods.
容体を見はするが、薬を勧めようとも入院を勧めようとも聞き入れてくれ。
I can examine his condition, but if I try to recommend medicine or hospitalization, he refuses to
本当
listen.
に見るだけですがな。
I've really only been able to look.
お医者嫌いの方もおるもんや。
It's true, some people hate
しか
doctors.
し困ったもんだの。
What a hassle, though. Nanjo sighed deeply. The purpose of an examination is to determine what medical treatment would be appropriate. Receiving an examination and then not following the advice makes the whole thing pointless. And yet he's
つまり
still
おさら
here.
いすると
To sum
相
it
変わ
up,
らず余命は3ヶ月
he's still expected to live 3 months.
禁止のままあとどれだけ長らえるか見当もつかね
There's no way to know how long he'll continue living while on the verge of death.
ルドルフさん、
Rudolph,
言葉を少し慎まれてはいかがですか？
you should be more discreet with your words.
えああすまんね
Sorry.
昔からこういう口の利き
I
方
always talk this way.
勘弁してくれ
Give me a break.
南條先生のご意見は分かりました。
I understand how Dr. Nanjo
クラウ
sees
ス
it.
兄さんから見て
What about you,
どう
Kraus?
なの？
Kraus, who I assume could easily have been translated as Klaus. This is Japanese. Kraus and Klaus would be the same name, right?
実を言うと、南條先生とは異なる意見。
I have to disagree with Dr.
と
Nanjo.
ても余命3ヶ月の重病人とは思えないというのが本心。
I find it difficult to think of father as a person so sick he only has 3 months to live.
怒鳴り声は相変わらず健在で、いつぶん殴られるかとヒヤヒヤしっぱなしだよ。
His yell is as healthy as ever, and I still get chills at the thought of his fists raining down on
長
me.
男にだけ親父の世話を押し付けるのは実にフェアではないね。
Pushing the care of your father solely on the shoulders of the eldest sibling is far from fair.
来世では俺より後に生まれろよ
In the next world, get born after me.
さて話を戻そうぜ
Alright, back on track.
そんなわけで公正中立なお医者の先生の見解じゃいつお隠れになっちまってもおかしくな
So
い
in the
状態
opinion of our impartial and neutral doctor, it wouldn't be odd for him to go
兄貴
anytime.
には悪いがここは専門家の意見を採用させてもらうぜ
No offense to you, Aniki. I'd rather trust the opinion of an expert in his
お前
field.
や決して親父の財産を話し合うことは時期
And that
尚
means
早ではないって
It's
ことさ
definitely not too early to start talking about Dad's assets.
お父様の個人資産は おそらく数百億にも届くでしょうね。
Father's personal funds probably reach as high as several 10 billion yen, right?
でもそれは綺麗な現金で揃ってるわけじゃないわ。
Not as though that's all neatly gathered as ready cash.
お誕生会のケーキみたいに綺麗にナイフが入ってカットできるほど単純じゃないでしょ。
It's not as simple as simply cutting a birthday cake with a knife.
姉貴の例えは面白いね。
An interesting way to put it.
そうさ。
That's
ケ
right.
ーキの上にはイチゴやらチョコの家やらが乗ってて、綺麗
Sometimes,
に等分するのが難しいことだってあるだろう。
sometimes you get strawberries or chocolate on top of the cake, making it hard to cleanly cut into
そ
equal
れを
parts.
加味して、どういう風にナイフを入れるのか、先に相談しておくのは大切なことだと思うぜ。
Given that, don't you think it's important to discuss beforehand how best to stick the knife in?
それを当主様が存命のうちからさも他界なされたかのように声
I
高
don't
に議論さ
understand
れ
how
る
you could
皆
all
さんも
talk.
気が知れません。
I don't know how you could all openly discuss this as though the family head's dead even though he's still alive. But Natsuhi, I mean, to them he's practically dead since they can't talk to him or interact with him in any meaningful way. He may as well be dead. Because he's certainly not coherent or competent enough. He's certainly not coherent enough to discuss his own will or what he's leaving behind, so they're like, well, let's not cause trouble, let's hash things out while we have time and we're not emotional. This seems like an alright plan. I mean, in general, you should probably divvy up... In general, if you're, like, reaching old age and probably gonna die, you should probably write a will if you have a family or some shit. That stuff is not a complete mess. And so you don't leave behind a power vacuum and a ton of chaos, which their father clearly doesn't give a fuck about. So this is kind of like an alright plan. They're like, okay, what are we gonna do here? He hasn't talked about anything with us, and he's kind of an asshole. I would probably bet that I'm not getting much at all, and that he's probably gonna give everything to Genji or some bullshit.
あら、必要な話よ。
Let's just see how important this
だっ
is.
て遺産相続はその時点で直ちに行われなきゃならないものよ。
Let's just see how important this is. After all, when the time comes, the inheritance of his fortune must be carried out immediately, right?
ましてや栄光ある後宮家の財産は莫大。
Moreover, the glorious Ushiromiya house wealth is vast.
事前に入念な相談が必要なことはお分かりでしょうが。
What chapter are we on? We're on the first arc. And I don't actually know what chapter this is. It's pretty early on. This is like what, 5 hours in, maybe? Let's see. We're still on episode 1. I don't know what part this is. I don't know what part it is. We met every character, we arrived at the island, and we've had lunch. And they're discussing inheritance regarding their father, who's presumably sort of almost dead, maybe, who knows. So there hasn't been any like incredibly important plot things going on. There's been some foreboding or ominous portents, but I haven't seen anything too crazy going on, so you're not missing too much plot. Everyone's gathered on a remote island in a little bit south of the mainland. There's no inhabitants other than the people we know, the servants, the house. It's completely empty. So all there are servants, the people, and there's a typhoon coming. So presumably we're going to be trapped on the island for a couple days or some shit. That's what I'm guessing happens. So, like they're setting up the story, but we haven't actually had like the big events happen in the story. Like Grandpa isn't dead yet, so we don't have drama there. There's no real like mystery to solve at this point. They're kind of just they're introducing the characters, setting up their world, and then we're gonna dive into stuff in a bit. Careful discussion is necessary beforehand.
当家の資産はあなたのご実家とは大違いなんだから。
There's a huge difference between this family's resources and your family's wealth.
失礼な。
How rude.
私の実家は関係ありません。
My birth family has nothing to do with this. Natsuhi responded indignantly, though in a low voice, and the already dark atmosphere grew even more hostile.
予算買えば
Give it a rest,
ナ
Ava.
ツさん堪忍な
Natsuhi, please forgive us.
口が悪いのは許したってな
Give her rudeness. Hideyoshi tried to smooth things over by glancing at both with a forced smile, but it only resulted in making the hostility between the two even more intense. It seems I'll get in the way if I stay longer. Please excuse me. Nanjo rose from his seat and exited the parlor. To an outsider, it may have seemed like a normal act of courtesy, but his back was watched by several glances, envious of his ability to escape. After the doctor exited and his footsteps disappeared into the distance, Kraus recrossed his legs. In other words, this is what you all would like to say. Father's remaining life is short. You all want to quickly enter into a practical conference concerning the distribution of the inheritance. Why so eager, I wonder? Certainly, as you say, estimating and distributing the family's wealth is no simple task. And he's like, but that's my job, why do you care? In that case, shouldn't we make careful and deliberate calculations? It seems you're all impatient to split the cake tonight. Isn't that true, Rosa? What reason is there to be hasty? We aren't being hasty. But we need an agreement between siblings. It doesn't matter when we do that. If the day Father's condition worsens is approaching. Discussing the matter beforehand hardly seems hasty to me. I mean, they're all sweating because... They're probably all sweating a little bit because Mr. Next in line to be family head has all the power and is living with the uncle, so they're like worried they're getting jack shit and he's gonna take everything. So I can see why they're kind of stressing and wanting to figure things out beforehand so they can have an agreement instead of getting literally 0 things, because if their father doesn't leave a will, there's a non-zero chance that Kraus here just scoops everything up and is like, oh, there's nothing for you guys, sorry, no inheritance, bye. I mean, that's a problem. That's why, like, you generally want a will, right? To make sure BS like that doesn't happen. Where Klaus just, like, kicks you out of the house and you end up with, like, nothing, no memories or no mementos or anything. Right. Rosa shot a glance at Eva and Rudolph. As the youngest sibling in the family, it was hard for her to be cross-examined by the eldest. Is that your true opinion? I didn't expect the most honest and pure-hearted of siblings would say something like that. I wonder if those two told you to say it. But it, Aniki. Rosa's one of Dad's kids too. She's got as much right to his inheritance as the rest of us. It's only natural she'd be interested. After all, he'll definitely die, and that's not something that's going to happen in the distant future. On the contrary, Aniki, you're way too relaxed. It seems you'd like nothing better than to turn the discussion away from the inheritance issue. What do you mean by that? Are you trying to accuse my husband of something? Calm down, Natsu-san. Poor Hideyoshi isn't even in this family. He married into it, and he's got to play peacemaker between all of these volatile people. Listen to what we have to say. I hear times have been extremely good lately. Yes, since last year we've been in an unprecedented boom and the yen keeps rising. It no longer seems a dream that the dollar will reach 100 yen.
与党は来年頃に保養地整備法を成立させようって言うじゃない。
The ruling party says it'll establish health resort maintenance law by next year.
今や日本中のリゾート開発会社がどれだけ軍資金を集められるかって奔走してるところよ。
At this moment, resort development companies across Japan are running about trying to gather as much funding as they can.
詳しいじゃないか。
You seem to know a lot about
これ
that.
から日本には空前の好景気が訪れる。
Japan's about to experience an unprecedented
親父
boom.
殿が後ろ宮家を再興した時と同じくらいの大
It'll be
規
a
模な需
repeat
要
of
拡
the
大の時代がね。
It'll be a repeat of the Korean War demands during the time which father revived the Yoshiromiya family.
日本国民は死に物狂いで働き、高度経済成長を実現して世界で一番豊かな国民となり、我が世の春を謳歌するようになった。
The people of Japan have been working like mad, achieving vast economic growth and becoming the most well-off people in the world, reaching the height of our prosperity.
国民の消費は増大し、それを回収できる施設があぶく銭を手にする時代になったのだよ。
We've reached an era where private spending is vast, which means easy money for institutions that can capitalize on that fact.
今や国民のニーズは3種の電化製品ではない。
The three kinds of electrical appliances no longer represent the people's
スキー
needs.
場、ゴルフ場、総合プール。
The people need ski resorts, golf courses, public pools. The economy is going to crash soon,
リゾ
don't
ー
worry.
トホテルにテーマパーク。
Resort hotels, theme parks.
数年前に開業したデルゼニーランドには行ったか。
Have you gone to Disneyland, which opened just a few years ago?
素晴らしい遊園地じゃないか。
What an excellent theme park.
あそこでは大人も童心に帰り家族で楽しむことができる。
It's a place where an adult can be a kid and have fun with his
かつて
family.
家族を顧みずに滅私奉公することだけが美徳だった時代はもはや終わろうとしている。
No longer do we count our sole devotion to be sole virtue to be selfless devotion while failing to care for our
我
families.
々は世界で一番豊かな国民としてようやくそれを享受できるようになったのだよ。
We've become the most prosperous people in the world and can finally enjoy the benefits.
クラウス兄さんの読みは大したもんや。
Gross, your foresight's nothing to
わ
sneeze
し
at.
も数年前に聞いたときはそんなアホなと思ったわ。
When I heard that sort of thing several years ago, I thought it
でも
crazy.
な、G5 のプラザ合意聞いてから変わったんや。
But when I heard about the G5 Nations Plaza Accord, that all changed.
円はみるみる強くなり、地価はこれから天井知らずに上がるやろ。
The yen shot up, and I'll bet the price of land skyrockets
日
soon
本が
too.
世界経済の中心になる日も遠くはない。
It won't be long before Japan becomes the economic center of the world. Bad news, Japan.
兄さんは時代を見る目のあるお人や。
You got a great sense of the direction the world's moving,
それ
Kraus.
だけは間違いないで。
At least there can be no debate about that one.
秀吉兄さんに同じだ。
I feel the same as
兄貴
Hideyoshi.
は10年越しで時代を読めてるよ。
Aniki, you can read into the next decade of
その
history.
嗅覚は親父譲りだろうな。
I'll bet you got that keen sense from
大した
Dad,
もんだぜ。
and it's incredible.
だが、親父と違って、ちょいと見通しのタイミングを読み違っちまったところ。
However, unlike Dad, the timing of your predictions has been a bit off sometimes, right?
兄さんは必ず日本が好景気を迎えると信じてあちこちにリゾート計画を起こし、そのほとんどで失敗し続けたわ。
You've been starting resort projects everywhere, convinced Japan will soon see a boon, but almost all of them continue to fail.
兄さんの読み通りの時代は確かに訪れつつあるけど、その時期を読むことには失敗したわね。
I'm sure that the era you predicted will soon arrive. It seems you misread the timing of the boom.
早すぎたのよ。
You were too early.
そして焦って生産して、結局は傷口を広げた
You
わ。
panicked and tried to sell everything off, which only opened the wound further.
本当に嗅覚が当てになって好景気が訪れることを読めていたなら生産するわけない。
Your nose was so reliable, there should be no reason for you to sell off your
これ
property.
って兄さんが自分で自分の才能を信じてない証拠じゃ
Is
ない
this
の
proof you mistrust your own ability? He's also apparently hemorrhaging money and his business ventures suck. That's not good.
失礼な。
How rude.
主人を侮辱するつもりですか
Tried to insult my husband. Natsuhi's forehead creased as she rose from the sofa. That was an obvious insult. She's telling me sucks at business. Ava, paying this no heed, stared at Kraus with a confident smile. Kraus, who also maintained his confident appearance, told Natsuhi to sit down.
よさないか夏日。
Stop, Natsuhi.
昔からこういう言い方しかできないやつだ。
She's always been incapable of talking any other way.
少し落ち着きなさい。
Calm down a little.
また頭痛に触る。
Your headache will get worse.
兄さんに才能がない証拠は私たちのすぐ近くにもあるわよ。
There's proof of your lack of talent right next
だ
to
って
us.
兄さん、この島をリゾート化するって張り切ってたじゃない？
After all, Nissan, weren't you excited about turning this island into a
素
resort?
敵なリゾートホテルも建てて、庭園もきれいに整備して。
You built a wonderful resort hotel and beautifully maintained the garden.
私は素人だから分かりかねるけど、相当のお金を使ったんでしょう。
Just an amateur and don't pretend to understand, but you must have used a significant amount of money for that, right?
だから何だというのですか？
And what is that to you?
主人の事業はあなたとは関係ありません。
My husband's business is none of yours.
いや、そいつは違うぜ、夏日さん。
Not quite true,
六
Natsu.
軒島は兄貴のものじゃない。
Rockinjima doesn't belong to him.
親父のものだ。
It belongs to
も
Dad.
ちろん建てたホテルは兄貴のものだぜ。
Of course, the hotel belongs to Aniki,
なんな
right?
ら俺たちは今夜の宿泊料を払ってやってもいいさ。
In fact, we'd be more than willing to pay lodging fees for
な
tonight.
ローザ。
What do you think, Rosa?
それはまあ
Well,
持ち合わせで足りるなら。
if what I have on hand will suffice.
リゾート化できればこの島の資産価値は上がる。
If I can make it into a resort, this island's financial worth will
支
rise.
出がかさんだことは事実だが、未来に大きな収穫を期待できる。
It's true expenses have piled up, but we can expect a large harvest in the future.
そうなれば、結果的にお前たちにとっても有益なはずじゃないか。
When it happens, all of you stand to profit as well, do you not? If you've been doing nothing but hemorrhaging money, promising you're gonna make money one day, that's not really a... That's like, it becomes more risky the more you keep throwing money out on failed ventures. Like, he spent a ton of money and they're like, didn't you spend a ton of money like last year and fail, and a ton of money last year and fail? And he's like, it'll pay off. It's like, it might. Or we might just be flushing money down the toilet because you have no business sense.
それはわかるわよ。
I
この
understand
島
that.
の価値が上がればそれを遺産分配する時の私たちの取り分も増えるもの。
I understand. If the value of this island rises, it'll increase our portions when we distribute the
も
inheritance.
ちろん、
Distribute?
島や屋敷を4分の1ずつ切り取れとは言わないわ。
Of course, they won't ask you to divide the mansion and the island into 4 equal parts.
それを算定したお金で解決してくれればいいだけの話よ。
Just resolve the matter with money equal to the value of the property.
そこまで分かっているなら、私の事業に何の不満があるんだね。
Well, if you understand that, what about my business makes you so dissatisfied?
不満じゃねえさ。不安なのさ。
Dissatisfied? More like uneasy.
第一兄貴。
In the first place,
あのホテル、いつになったら開業するんだ？
when do you plan on opening that
こ
hotel?
のままじゃ、俺たちの手垢だらけになっちまうぜ。
Left this way, you won't get anything out of it other than our grubby handprints, right?
そうよ。
Right.
大切な商売道具でしょ。
It's an important tool for your business.
確かに開業するまでずっと鍵をかけておくわけにもいかないわよ
Surely you
ね。
can't keep it locked up until the moment you open
少
it.
しは使って風通しを良くしないと建物は傷んじゃうもの。
Things go bad if you don't use them and air them out every once in a
で
while.
も私たちが年に一度泊まるだけのゲストハウスって言うんじゃちょっと合成すぎやしないかしら。
It's a bit extravagant for a guest house we only use once a
ね
year.
えローザ。
Right, Rosa?
そうね。
Right.
あんなに素敵ならオープンしたらさぞや人気が出るでしょうね。
I wonder if it's like a trap and he's planning on killing all his siblings for all the money or some shit. I don't know enough of these characters or how ruthless they are. Is that a possibility? He gets them to stay in it, typhoon season comes, the building gets knocked over, and suddenly, boom, he's getting everything. Maybe that's a plan. I don't know how sinister we're talking people are gonna be here. Considering how wonderful it is, I'm sure it'll become popular once you open it.
ああ、
Oh.
あなたが前に言ってたホテルってゲストハウスのことだったのね。
The hotel you keep talking about is the guest house.
立派なもんだろ？
It's
ローザの言う
splendid.
通り、オープンできたら人気が出るだろうよ。
As Rosa said, if you were to open it, I'm sure it would become popular. The lodging they'd been guided to wasn't originally intended to serve as a guest house. It was originally a resort hotel. However, even though it was built 2 years previously, there was still absolutely no prospect of it opening.
兄さんのいつもの事業と同じよ。
It's just like all your enterprises.
着目や企画はご立派。
Your attention and planning are both
そしてい
fabulous.
つも途中で立ち行かなくなって何も回収できずに終わる。
And then, it always becomes unmaintainable partway through and ends before you have a chance to earn profit.
この島をただ住むだけにしか使わないのはもったいないって兄貴の着眼が立派さ。
You were brilliant when you saw using that island only as a place to live was a
そし
waste.
てリゾート化してマリンスポーツやらフィッシングやらハネムーンやらを誘致して盛り上げようってのはなかなかいい絵だったと思うぜ。
Hairstyle's so hot, you mean Ava's? Yeah, it's a good hairstyle for her, it works. You were brilliant when you saw using the island as a place to live was a waste. I think it was a pretty good plan to turn it into a resort that could use the prospect of marine sports, fishing, honeymoons, and the like to attract customers. I think that's a good plan. The problem is it doesn't seem to have gone
俺
anywhere.
だって長男だったならこの島を何かに有効利用できないかと頭をひねったに違いない。
If I were eldest, I'm sure I would have strained my brain looking for a way to make a profit off this island.
でももう出来上がってから2年も経つのよ。
But 2 full years have passed since you finished building,
2
right?
年経って未だに開業のめどはつかないの？
After 2 years, you still haven't had the chance to open it.
任せてる管理会社はどこ？
Where's the managing company you entrusted it to?
失敬な。
Ordnance.
それは主人の手落ちではありません。
It's not my husband's fault.
主人の仕事を受けよう会社間でトラブルが生じているだけで、うちはあくまでも被害者です。
It's not my husband's fault. There's been some trouble with the company my husband contracted with. No matter how you look at it, we're victims here.
しかしな、
And yet,
クラウス兄さんが任せてる例のとこ、
the rumors we've heard about this company
あ
you
ま
hired,
りええ噂は聞かんで。
it hasn't been good at all.
はっきり言ってあげなさいよ。
Let's be clear about this, dear.
不払い横領トラブルで計画が空中分解しちゃったって話。私たちの耳に届かないとでも思ってる？
Did you really think we wouldn't hear about how the lack of payment, embezzlement, and other issues led to the project disintegrating mid-flight?
裏も取れてるんだから。
We even have evidence.
何の裏だか存じませんが、事実無根です。
I don't know what evidence you think you found, but it's all
観
baseless.
光業への新規参入には、方々への根回しが必要になります。
As new members in the tourism industry, it's necessary for us to lay the groundwork with various people.
相手が信用に足りるかを測ることも大事です。
It's also important to investigate the trustworthiness of our partners.
それに手間取っているだけに過ぎません。
It merely takes us some time to meet that goal. Nazi is being like super defensive, man. Holy shit. This is someone that you're just like, you're looking more suspicious and more prone to failure by the minute. You
ホテル
too.
の完成が早すぎて勇み足になったことは認めよ
I'll admit, in my rashness, the hotel was completed too
う。
early.
だが維持費がかかってるわけじゃない。
However, it's not as though we're paying maintenance
やがて
costs.
大きな意味を持つ布石だ。
It's a foundation that will become immensely significant.
嘘つけよ。
Liar.
生産したくても売れないだけだろ。
I'll bet you want to liquidate it, but can't.
観光ルートの確立してない何もない離島にやたら豪華なホテルなんて
After all, there's no reason for anyone to buy an extravagant hotel on an isolated, empty island without any established sightseeing routes.
それに事業に集めた融資はどうなってんだよ。
What about all the loans you made for this project?
維持費はかからんでも回線借金は膨らむ一方や。
Even if you aren't recurring maintenance costs, the borrowed money you can't return just keeps
すま
growing.
んがクラウス兄さん、
Sorry,
この島の
Krasny-san.
開発計画の話、ちょいと調べさせてもろたんや。
But I've investigated the development plan for this
正
island a
直
bit.
こっちもええ話は聞かへんのや。
And to be honest, well, I haven't heard anything good either.
秀吉さん、
Hideyoshi?
確かに今の財政状況だけを見たらそういう印象を持たれるかもしれない。
I can see how you might be left with that impression by looking at the current financial situation.
だが、これは先行投資なのだよ。
However, it's a forward-looking investment. Considering this guy's had nothing but a pattern of failures, I'm like sweating that this guy's just lying as he's continued to lie. Because remember, the first time we met this guy, the first words he said to anyone we knew were straight up lies. And he's probably lying here because he seems pretty untrustworthy.
その読みを誤り、 これまでに多くの負債を生んでしまったことは認めざるを得ない。
I have no choice but to admit my prediction was mistaken, and up till now, several liabilities have been created.
だが、ようやく時代が私に追いついた。
Over the times have finally caught up with
これまでに
me.
失った分はすぐに取り戻せる。
I will soon regain all I've lost up to this
い
point.
や、それどころか。これまでの投資だってやがては私の元に戻ってくる。
All the investments I've made until now will finally return to my possession. This be the kind of guy who's a gambler. He's making less... It's less good decision making and more gambling, right? He's like, if I keep rolling the dice one of these times, I'll get everything. And it's like, how much money can you throw down the tubes before someone cuts you off? Or you finally strike it?
放った稚魚が鮭となり、肥えて帰ってくるようにね。
Like throwing away a small fry which becomes a salmon, they'll come back even bigger than before.
それは認めるで。
I'll
これ
accept
か
that.
らリゾート業界は空前の好景気を迎えるやろ。
The resort business will probably see an unprecedented boom
こ
before
れま
long.
での負債を埋められるほどかはわからんが。
I don't know if it'll be enough to cover all your debt though.
だがな、クラウス兄さん。
But Krauss,
これまで散々負け続けた兄さんが、どこから軍資金を調達したっていうんや。
after all your failures in the past, who exactly do you expect to provide you with funding?
それも半端ない軍資金や。
And this ain't some small amount we
あ
talking
れだ
about.
けの穴を埋められる軍資金やで。
You need enough funding to fill the hole you've dug.
秀吉さんは何をおっしゃいたいのですか？
Are you trying to say Hideyoshi?
ああ、夏樹さん。ほんま怒らんといてえな。
Nazi, please don't get
わし
angry.
らも調べたんや。
We looked into this
これま
too.
で負け戦続きのクラウス兄さんに最近の強気な莫大投資を支えられるほどの融資を誰ができたんか調べたんや。
Oh, you like Natsuhi? It's Natsuhi. Alright, alright. I don't think we've spent too much time looking at her outfit, actually. This guy's outfit's fine. He's got like a cloak jacket combination over like a formal business suit with like white with gold fire. That's kind of cool. This chick, I don't know what's going on with her fucking skirt gap. It's kind of weird, but the rest is fine. This guy's just wearing a regular ass tux. Where is this? This guy is wearing a regular suit. It looks fine. Her outfit. She looks like she's wearing a Victorian era dress. Corset and like, she looks like she was born a century ago, okay? She's like the Western equivalent of this. Actually, honestly, this seems more modern than this. It's a hot outfit. I mean, I like the use of purple. Maybe we have different tastes. All right. We checked to see who might have provided Kraus Nissan with enough financing to support his recent large-scale projects despite his string of failures. And we discovered no such backer exists.
弱り目と逆に張るのがマネールーレットの鉄則だ。
The iron rule of money roulette is you bet against the loser.
兄貴はこの界隈じゃちょいと知られた弱り目さ。
Aniki, you're a fairly well-known loser in this
確かに
field.
時代は好景気を迎えようとしているが、これまでの兄貴の失敗等を天秤にかけて。
You need some water because you're getting thirsty? Yeah, rip those plates. It's true that prosperous times are about to come, but when we looked for people who considered that enough to overlook your string of failures,
その上で融資に値すると思う連中がいる
and
のか
also
って
had
言
enough
っ
for the
たら
investment,
誰もいなかったのさ。
we found no candidates.
ならね、
So,
そのお金を
The
ど
big
こ
question.
から調達したの？
ooh, she wasn't even that subtle. I'm pretty sure she straight up said money
って
there.
ことになるのよ。
The big question now is where you got that money from?
ほう。
Ooh. So he's stealing money from the family? That's what they're accusing him of?
興味深い話じゃないか。
Ooh, isn't this intriguing?
それで
And?
あなた、
Dude.
このような暴言をいつまで放置されるつもりですか？
How long do you plan to let these ridiculous remarks stand? Sit down, Nazi. So now they're accusing him of embezzling funds from their grandfather and spending his personal money, his personal wealth, on failed business projects. Let's cut to the point. You've been diverting Dad's private funds for your own business. Guess who called it? He's been spending his... He's asking why they care about the inheritance because
I have had it up to here. You are now banned from USCING any plates that are breakable and can only have paper. We have no plates left, and I need to buy new ones every day, Madge.
Oh, thanks for the bits, my dude. Xenon, I'm banned from using plates that are breakable. Only paper? Okay. We have no plates. You need to buy new ones every day. I'm sorry. While playing this game, it's just so difficult to balance all these plates I got spinning. I got like two on my shoulders, I got like two on my hands, and I'm somehow supposed to like camp forward on this visual novel sometimes. Right-clicking's exceptionally hard. New Orleans or Kinzo's annoyed by Krause's money life hacks. Yeah. Kinzo's not just annoyed, he's being robbed blind by this kid, So his dad, well, not dad, he is stealing from his dad's private funds? Is that how it's going? I mean, his dad was already mad enough because his Kinzo was basically throwing money out, right? To quote his dad, the man's celebrating getting $1 for the low price of $2. And Kinzo has been lying his ass off a whole bunch, so... He doesn't seem like a legitimate person. We'll see. Let's see if he has, like, some reveal. I mean, that could be why Natsuhi's, like, so fucking defensive about anyone inquiring into their business matters, because she's like, oh fuck, what if they know this shit? There's pretty much no room for doubt. If you think we've made some kind of mistake, feel free to explain. Rudolph, don't call it diverting funds. It's embezzlement, plain and simple. A huge crime that can be criminally prosecuted. And, like, Natsuhi hasn't been making good arguments. She's just been saying shut the fuck up consistently in various forms with increasing levels of aggression. This sort of rudeness cannot be tolerated, is like straight up, shut the fuck up, I don't want to talk about it. Interesting. How can you face the successor of the Ushiromiya head family and level these absurd accusations? But they aren't absurd, they're right on the mark. I'm sure he'd like to somehow make his business succeed and recover his losses, but his debt keeps getting bigger and bigger. And see, now Ava's saying the same thing I was saying like 5 minutes ago, where the man's a gambling addict, basically. He's covering up the failures of he's not making investments or trying to turn a profit. He's trying to he's trying to make back his money he lost gambling by gambling again and again and again until he presumably makes it big. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't seem to realize that gambling's actually stacked against him. When you go to a casino making money, it means you are insanely lucky. And on average, you probably lost a fuck ton of money to get to that point, at least, where you make money. Either that, or you have some way to stack the deck. And this guy seems to just be rolling the dice, praying that one of these times it's gonna roll on black and he's gonna make a ton of money. Alright. It's gonna roll double. We're gonna roll as a fucking 0 and he's gonna make a ton of money on roulette or some shit. Who knows? Alright. It's only naturally try to grab any source of funding close at hand. Let me be frank, Nissan. What you're doing is embezzlement. You're betraying father. You know we'll have the courts settle this after it's over, right? Oh, do you think that this kind of person has any right to call themselves the successor to the Ushiromiya head family?
ユニコと書いて。当主様への裏切りとは聞き捨てがたい。
You dare to claim he betrayed the family head? Note that again, she hasn't said he's not doing that. She's just saying, you dare? Like, what, you're saying he's right? You're just mad that you're getting caught? You no longer have the right to straddle the threshold of the glorious Ushiromiya family. Leave this place at once. No. And she's like, interesting. So, I accuse him of embezzlement and your response is get the fuck out? Interesting. Interesting. Get out. Natsuhi, who had already reached the limits of her anger, shouted at Eva in a rage. She then pointed alternatively at Eva in the hallway, demanding she leave. Eva took out a folding fan and fanned herself with it, glaring maliciously at Natsuhi as though silently daring her to repeat what she said. However, her mouth was still smiling, curved in the shape of a crescent moon. And in that unpleasant silence, Rosa gulped.
Natsuhi-san?
Natsuhi-san. Who do you think you're speaking in such a tone? I'm speaking to the exceedingly rude sister of my husband. As the person in charge of the main family's kitchen, I can't overlook any more of this. In charge of the kitchen? But aren't you bottom of the totem pole? Be silent, lowly maidservant. Eva folded the fan with a snap and rose to her feet energetically. Compared to the elegance and playfulness she'd shown until a second ago, she was now unimaginably aggressive. Foolish. Stand down. Before Eva of the Ushiromiya family. You tell me to stand down? Me, Ushiromiya Eva, third ranked in the family, and one allowed to sit at the left shoulder of the head? Know your place. And then look at your shabby self in a mirror. Where's the symbol of the wing on your clothes? Where are you permitted to wear the one-winged eagle? Wait, isn't one of the chicks allowed like a tattoo of the eagle? One of the maids? Damn, dude. Aren't you nothing more than a borrowed womb to house the next successor to the Ushiromiya family? Damn. Eva going extra savage. Understand your place, you common housemaid. Eva's face twisted hideously as her words gouged into Natsuhi's heart like talons wrenching at it. There were 100 ways Natsuhi wanted to respond. However, her anger and sorrow crushed her throat and none of those words managed to make it to her mouth. You know, you were just getting thirsty over Natsuhi and she just got fucking roasted. Like she got thrown into the fucking sun, man. Pour cold water on the burned area. I'm sorry, she's ashes right now. She's been fucking atomized, my dude. Her anger had nowhere to go and became a single hot tear that slowly dripped down.
Nani?
That's a weird face, okay. That's a weird face. What's wrong? Got something to say? Please do so. Fun. Eva faced her with a provocative gaze. However, Natsuhi could do nothing but tremble, her clenched fists quivering. Kraus quietly broke that powder keg tension. Welcome to Umineko faces. Oh my god. There are more than that. There's more than that? Oh boy. Natsuhi. Leave your seat. You need to go cool your head. Natsuhi, resenting the fact her husband hadn't come to her aid, shifted the focus of her attack. Don't you understand what they're saying about you? These people are baselessly calling you a traitor to father. These people... Oh, that wasn't spoken? Really? They're making light of the fact we protect the glory of the Yashiro-Miya family even though we're constantly expending every effort to earn that glory from father. They trample all that underfoot with their hateful wrangling. And you don't even try to fight back? Why? I'm only standing up for us because you won't, but you've been putting the entire burden on me the entire time. And you tell me to go cool my head? It's always me. Even though I always get his fans. So seriously? I feel like Natsuhi is like snapping because she's the competent, she's the competent person in the relationship and she's really pissed. Because she's doing all the work and her husband's like a fucking idiot. In terms of business, her husband's like a fucking idiot to just throws good money after bad. Or loses things as hard as possible. And she's like, Jesus fuck, I'm trying to keep this idiot from fucking up. Alright. She's got a rough... She's in a rough marriage, okay? She's got to do all the work, and this guy's seems to not be doing too much, honestly. What are you doing, Rudolph? Or Kraus? It's Kraus, right? Alright. Natsuhi was already unable to hide her tears. She flew from the room in that state. And after that, all that remained was a somewhat embarrassed mood around the parlor. When the sound of footsteps grew distant and silence returned, Kraus shrugged his shoulders lightly. The only good news is that maybe they forgot he was being accused of embezzlement because she was getting in a screaming match with Eva. I apologize for my wife. She's always been bad at controlling her emotions. It's even been rough for me. If that's what's managing her... Then again, I think the lady hates like the lady likes the new cook and hates like everyone else on staff, right? So maybe she's just like a shitty person too. Maybe they deserve each other, who knows? If that's what's managing your household, you must suffer to no end, Nisa. Back to Natsuhi. Madam? It's nothing. It may be. Natsuhi flew into her room and threw herself onto the bed, lamenting. Those heart-wrenching sobs reached Kumasawa in the hallway. Poor Madame Natsuhi. There's a deep enmity between her and Eva-sama. Explaining their relationship would be very trying for me as a woman. The Shiromiya family holds blood in high regard, but if a woman marries and leaves the family, they're normally removed from the register. Thus, under normal circumstances, Eva-sama should have been removed when she married Hideyoshi-sama. Yep. However, you didn't know anyone streamed this game? Yeah? I mean, visual novels don't see too much play, but there is some here and there. If you look. If you look all the time, that's the problem. It's like there's like 90% downtime for VNs. However, I think it's because there's like a lack of replay value in a lot of visual novels. Like, would I go back and reread most visual novels I've already read? Probably not. And would you necessarily want to read them like 2-3 times? Maybe a second time if you're feeling nostalgic, I think. I think that's the issue. So you don't get a lot of repeat viewers, and the experience for a lot of visual novels is very linear. So like, it's not like I can add my own spin to this game. Like, you could beat this game by holding, in this game, controls skip, right? So I could probably beat this game by holding control and clicking maybe 5 or 6 times. Just to, like, go to the next section, right? So, like, the option to, like, see, like, a radically different playthrough is limited, so the more of, like, your own input you can have in a game, the more people are likely to want to see, like, multiple playthroughs or something. It's like more of a spin, or like a different playthrough experience could change it, and then like for like in terms of like reacting to content, I think shorter content is more interesting because like there's large stretches of a visual novel that aren't particularly interesting, and you're just waiting for like the scene to end because you know how the scene's gonna play out. It's like, okay, we have this scene, and then you know this scene's probably gonna happen, and then we have to go and read the scene, and the scene takes like 20 minutes to go through. And then you get to a cool scene. Which makes it, like, not amazing for reacting to live if it's linear, right? I think those are the main reasons that it's... there's not, like, a ton of viewership for visual novels in general. I mean, there are some visual novels that are more interesting, like ones with some pretty crazy twists. I think Danganronpa has some alright views. Some of the not the best visual novels, but some of the like the really popular ones in the West, I think, see a bit more. The ones with like most of them are like really exciting or in the public consciousness at the time. Like those see a bit more view. So I think Danganronpa gets a little bit. I think Doki Doki gets a little bit. And like most other visual novels kind of just stall out. Even if they're like really good. Like if you go to VNDB, I mean, Danganronpa is pretty good. But like I don't think I see Umineko's like what, number 4 on VNDB right now? It's like number 4. So if you're like, wow, why is there no one here? It's like that's the state of the genre. You're playing this in Dangan right now? Yeah, Dangans are pretty good. We've already done all 3 of the main games for Danganronpa. They're pretty good. They are pretty good. I don't know which one you're playing, but enjoy them. Enjoy them. They're all pretty good. I didn't think we had a bad game at the end of any of them. I think the only thing I disliked about Danganronpa is that like the post game for Danganronpa kind of sucks. Sorry, you're on Dangan 2? Oh, Dangan 2 is really good. Dangan 2 is good, and you get there's well, I guess there's an anime that covers like a bunch of stuff with the characters. I'm gonna be honest though, the anime kind of sucks. We watched a bunch of it, and we watched a bunch of it as a community, and we were laughing at it most of the time. You didn't think Dangan 2 is the best? Oh, thanks for the follow, Chief. I think Dangan 2 is really good. I mean, I like Chiaki, I like Ibuki. They're both pretty great. Mikan's still alright. It has what's-his-face. Oh my god, I just forgot what's-his-face. I can't give spoilers. Everyone's favorite male character who's like fucking crazy. The one with white hair. The one with white hair. Oh, and Gundam. Can't forget Gundam. Oh my god. There were actually a lot of good characters in the second game. Yeah, Nagito Komayata, I think it was? Yeah, Nagito's fucking good. Gundam's amazing. Like, I think in Dangan 2 is the one where you're most spoiled for choice as to what to do for, like, all your side stuff. Yeah, the guy who isn't Edmond Dantes. Yeah. You're, like, really spoiled for choice in terms of characters. It's like you want to actually talk to all of them. You actually want to, like, talk to them and spend time with almost all of them. Like, there's a couple characters that are kind of boring. But, I mean, even, like, Sword Chick's kind of interesting. Like, there's a lot of good choices in Danganronpa for, like, people to spend time with. Everyone's got something going on for them, I feel. And even the, like, somewhat annoying people are still kind of cool. Oh, yeah. And I assume you're not, like, right at the start, but I assume you're not in the first chapter. But, I'll say the, one of the people who died first, either the victim or the accused, was my least favorite character. Yeah, you want to talk to everyone but Teru. I don't want to say that, but my least favorite character gets to bite it early on, and that's always a good sign. Can't say if anyone gets killed, but they bite it early on, and it's not like my least favorite person lasts until the frickin' end of the game, and I'm like, please tell me this person dies already, and then they fucking live. Unlike a certain other game. My least favorite character in the first game. My least favorite character in the first game lived far, far too long. Far, far too long. I'm not giving spoilers. You guys don't know who my... If you're new here, you don't know who my favorite character is from Danganronpa. The first one. You don't know who my least favorite is. You don't know who my favorite is. So all you know is that my least favorite character does not die early. If they die at all, I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm doing my best. Alright. There's no one deserving of blame in this matter. The madam bears no guilt. I mean, it's not clear if she's aware that her husband's embezzling, or if that's true. Shio says Madame certainly bears no guilt, but if she's aware of her husband embezzling money from their family, then I'm honestly thinking, yeah, she probably bears some guilt. You're loving Umineko so much right now? Are you considering Higurashi your favorite? Yeah, Higurashi was decent. I had an alright time with Higurashi. I think the journey was quite enjoyable. I think the only thing I really didn't dig was like the absolute true ending of Higurashi. I was kind of just like, seriously, dude? That's your ending? It's kind of mediocre. It would have been good for one of these routes leads here, but it's not good for like the true ending, the only ending where horrible things don't happen to literally every single person in the city. It's like, that's not a good ending. Like, it's okay to be like, this is one of the endings where this could have happened, or maybe they reach an ending and the character decides they want to go for that ending. But the true ending for Higurashi is not something I like, because it basically says evil always wins, and the best you can do is like maybe have evil win alongside you, and you're like, are you fucking serious? It's like, okay, well, you know, this guy's murdering like 50,000 people, but you know, maybe we can just like get him to admit he's sorry, and then he like gets off scot-free, and you're like, what? You're like, what? You're like, all these people died? All these people will die? They tried to kill so many people, and you're just like, they're sorry. Let's let them go. That's your good ending? That's your best case? It's like, I understand that the real world is like really shitty and bad people get away with things all the time while good people suffer. Like, that's fine. I understand the reality of the world. I don't understand why why the author would ascribe this to be like some better world, or some like better reality where it's like, you can murder people in 5,000 timelines, in infinite timelines, and then get stopped in one timeline, even though you did literally everything, and they had to like beat up a fuck ton of people and do move the fucking heaven and earth to stop you from killing a bajillion people. And then they'll just like let you go because it's rude to do anything. It's like, yeah, come on. People have a debt to society. People have to like actually show that, like, it's like, if they don't want to show remorse, like what are they doing? They're not giving anything to society. They're actively harming it, and they'll do nothing but harm it. It's like this weird Batman dilemma where we're like, well, we don't want to do anything to her. We're not even gonna put her in jail like the Batman throws the Joker in the insane asylum. We're just gonna let her go. You're like, oh, like we're worse than Batman, because Batman at least says the Joker needs to be stopped. Yeah. Like, Batman says the Joker needs to be fucking stopped and tries to stop him with like within the realm of his morality and the law, which is why he like doesn't kill people. And I mean, lots of people disagree with that because the Joker's killed a bajillion people and will always get out. But, you know, in some twisted logic that works. I don't get the Higurashi author's reasoning, because he's like, well, you know, they kill a bunch of people, but you just like stop them once, and you're like, oh, that's fine, they can do whatever. It's like, no, they're like, you think they're gonna stop? Like, even if they stop, they caused a ton of damage. They have like a debt to repay to society. Like, you can't just be like, oh. Like, you can't just like bomb a building and be like, well, I pulled the fire alarm first, so I'm okay, right? Like, no? Hello? You know, you get in trouble in real life for, like, calling in a false bomb threat, let alone bombing the building and pulling the fire alarm to get people out. Like, come on, guys. Whatever. Anyway, moving on. Let's finish this scene up instead of complaining about the true ending of Higurashi. The rest of the game is actually really good. I had quite a fun time enjoying the ride. Like Fate Zero when he burns everyone but still blew up the building. I mean, he could have just blown up the building. It's straight up. That was just like his personal choice. There's no one deserving of blame in this matter. The madam bears no guilt. Let's see that. There's nothing to call it than the whim of God. Okay. Kraus and Natsuhi were not blessed with children for some time. After all, this is the male-dominant Ushiromiya family. A wife is merely a tool to create an heir. If a wife can't fulfill her only duty... That was a really long sentence in Japanese, damn. If a wife can't fulfill her only duty, she won't even be treated as human. It pains me to remember how the master tortured the madam during that time. Back then, a wedding between Eva-sama and Hideyoshi was being discussed. Eva was sly. Taking advantage of the madam's inability to become pregnant, she gained the favor of the master. She inspired him to allow her to marry and give birth to a successor herself, making sure to avoid transferring her name out of the Ushiromiya family register. There was a vast difference. These are insanely long lines in Japanese, my god. Alright, there was a vast difference in the Ushiromiya hierarchy between Madam, who married into the family and was treated like an outsider, and Eva-sama, who is related to the family by blood and whose husband took on the Ushiromiya name. Have I played Tsukihime? No, I have not. I was hoping the remake would come out in English, but the Type Moon is nothing if not lazy and cheap, and completely ignored their English-speaking audience. So I guess I'm just deciding when the fuck I'm gonna read it in Japanese, which will be sometime. I'll get to it. I have a long list of novels. I have a long list of other games I want to play. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I'd like to get to Tsukihime at some point. I need to read both. Fuck off. Fuck off. I'm not reading both. I'm not reading both of them. Like, Mihoyo is more interesting right now, because I'd like to read Mihoyo. It's newer. I don't know the plot. It's newer, and I haven't read the plot, and I don't know enough about it, but it's apparently decent. Alright, Eva-sama, who is related to family... I mean, they still should have made it in English. It's still stupid. Cool. Furthermore, Eva-sama actually gave birth first and to a boy. As for how much weaker Madam's position was than Eva, well, I could see for myself, yep. I'm sure Madam's tormented by the... Umasawa is the kind of person who doesn't shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ, these are like absurdly long run-on sentences. I'm sure Madam is tormented by the thought that if only she'd gotten pregnant earlier, the master wouldn't have accepted Eva-sama's request to keep her last name after marriage, and Eva wouldn't have been permitted to act as arrogantly as she did today. I can kind of just like sit down. Like I can sit down, go to the fridge, Pour myself a beer and come back and she'll still be talking. However, that was not the madam's fault.
全ては気まぐれな神様とジェシカさんをお届けすることが遅れたコウノトリのせいなのでございます。
Are we done? Are we done? Okay, all the blame lies with God's whims and the stork that delivered Jessica late. And this chick's just like, it's religion. It's like, okay. It's all God's fault, yeah. Even so, Madam wouldn't allow herself to see things this way. She's giving a lecture? Yeah, to herself, I guess. Okay. She probably can't help but cry bitter tears as a woman at her inability to carry out the duties expected of a wife. How sad. I can do nothing but watch over her from the shadows. I'm just gonna speak over her because she's gonna take 20 minutes to speak. Another time skip. Alright. We're going backwards half an hour to 1:30. We went from 2 to 1:30. Come again? Okay. We must be going to see things from the kid's perspective, I guess? Kawasawa Kichiro. And, okay. Across the hall again on our way to the entrance. I think here's where we're going to wrap up the Umineko for tonight.